And welcome back to another episode of the Ministry of Truth. I am your only host on this show because I refuse to let anybody else on this show because, well, kind of fucks with my flow, right? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got a lot to go over today. Some local news, some current events, some not so current events, and also, we got some history. Whose history? Not the one they want you to remember. And we're going to find out why we don't remember old history. Because, well, the powers to be don't want you to know. But before we get into that, I'm going to have a shout out to Roots Calhoun. Because we're going to start off the fine Friday with some more music while I go open my windows.
I woke up mortified, clutching on my 45. I see your sickness as it flickers in my daughter's eyes. This fucking nightmare was pre-planned and quarter-plot. I fortified my fate on a burning Bible, swore to God. From the depths of the deepest of depressions, His evil in the flesh is what I see in this reflection. The demons get to speaking through the beat with their intentions, using me to plant the seed. And greed is the infection, deep in you, it's eating through your...
Is this better? I totally forgot to turn up my mic. It's on me.
Reason and it beating you, evil do till you're banking greenery like Hebrews. If Tweedle see it, Tweedle do. You won't believe the truth. Between me and you, it's probably the Jews. Nah, it's definitely Jews. You think they run the media and government? They definitely do. Look, I'm not a pessimistic fool. I'm just really mindful of the bullshit, cause I'm stepping in it too. If you ever feel that your life is but a dream, and the world around you really isn't what it seems, I don't really know and I can't tell you what it means, but you need to unplug and step away from the screen. If you ever feel that your life is but a dream, and
I'll tell you right now, the lags between the videos and me are gonna be ridiculous.
around you really isn't what it seems.
About a 20-second delay.
When I can't tell you what it means, but you need to unplug and step away from the screen. Everything's perverted, culture been subverted. Yo, this firmament's a burning is a perfect way to word it. They tell me I should curb it, nah. My lesson learned it. This was murder in the first before you nerds had heard the verdict. And everywhere I'm looking, it's the same shit, dividing us by differences and isms. Is rearranging the language. Most of y'all ain't smart enough to question or debate this. You're perpetually teenage bitch made, waiting for page clicks. Take this.
I'm pretty
finally having fun with it. I had the fucking money and I bought my fucking guns with it. I'm saying fuck it for the fuck of it. I'm on some other shit like ducking and butt fucking the government. What's up, you coming with your shoot free? Ain't got a body on these weapons, but I'm after one like 2, 3. You didn't know, I'll introduce me. My name is Roots and I believe we should expose them in the truth's key. If you ever feel that your life is but a dream, and the world around you really isn't what it seems, I don't really know and I can't tell you what it means, but you need to unplug and step away from the screen. If you ever feel that your life is but a dream, and the world around you really isn't what it seems, I don't really know and I can't tell you what it means, but you need to unplug
Drink water.
and step away from the screen. Step away from the screen. Step away from the screen. Step away from the screen.
Shout out to Roots for that one. Fucking hell of a song. I love that shit. I hate the Jews. Apparently my island here is kicking in. God damn it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope y'all had a great holiday weekend. No, it wasn't a holiday weekend. It was in the middle of the week. Hope you had a great Christmas. For those of you that celebrate Kwanzaa, I know it started yesterday, but actually it didn't start till the 1970s, so it's pretty much a made-up holiday. Anyway, what I got for you today is a couple of people that should be in jail, some people that should definitely be in a grave. We're going to go over 3 stories. I believe I picked 3 stories from this past weekend. I picked up 3 stories for this past weekend that I really want to show. There was many more, but I was going to do a show yesterday, but I got fucking lazy and tired. And I didn't really do one on Christmas. All I did was play fucking a harp. I didn't play the harp. Harp is, yeah. Anyway, let's get to the first story. For those of you who know, a man in Arizona walked around a Walmart and decided he wanted to go to the produce section and spray pesticide for bed bugs, I believe, on fruits, vegetables, and rotisserie chickens. I don't believe they show that whole clip, but yeah, it's on X if you want to go look for it. This dude, because my wife buys those white rotisserie chickens for her and the kids, because I don't eat that shit. I hate chicken. But let's get to the story.
It's a video that made people here in the Valley furious. Mesa police arresting a man for spraying bug killer all over the produce section at a Walmart, making people more upset. Police say this man did what he did to make money off social media. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Kadiba Devine. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly has been following this story and is joining us now in studio. And Chase, are these videos even allowed on social media?
Creepy, Mark, they're not. An instructor who specializes on social media tells me it's against their policies. And in the last hour, we found the suspect's account has been taken offline. Charles Smith is facing charges related to poisoning, endangerment, and criminal damage for this. Mesa police say Smith recorded himself spraying bug killer all over fruit,
like
vegetables, and
$1,000
rotisserie chickens at this Mesa Walmart, causing nearly $1,000 worth of damage and putting shoppers at risk. According to court documents, Smith is accused of doing other stunts that put people in danger, leading to an arrest warrant for him out of Tempe and charges of criminal nuisance and disorderly conduct in Scottsdale, all for clicks on his social media pages, police say, where he had more than 300,000 followers. Before it was taken down, his TikTok account had several other videos of what appears to be him committing crimes, like locking people inside a Goodwill, throwing food at people at the mall, and even throwing a dead bird at fast food workers.
I think that this demonstrates the way that social media can normalize and amplify irresponsible behavior.
Julie Smith, an instructor at Webster University, specializes in social media. She says not only is Smith doing this for views, it's also for money.
He's doing something called engagement farming. And obviously, the more engagement that an account gets, the more money the account can bring in if the account is monetized.
Smith allegedly told police the same thing. In his arrest documents, he admitted to investigators his videos earn him anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000 a month. Videos our expert says aren't even allowed to be on TikTok.
But within the terms of service, we've agreed to not do anything that promotes illegal activities that may harm people. And that's exactly what he's doing.
So why were the videos up so long before TikTok took action?
34 million videos are posted on TikTok every day. So TikTok really depends on the community to report clips and videos that people think are irresponsible.
Now, earlier today, I did reach out to TikTok for more information on their policies. And again,
They literally did not mention he sprayed 2 rotisserie chickens in that little rotisserie thickener in the front of the story. Yeah, it's fucking disgusting.
Be safe.
All right, those that live in Adams County, I believe this is Colorado, Fox KDVR. Yeah, I believe it's Colorado. What happens if you're a parent, 2 parents, and you're like, you know what, this is bullshit. I have a 1-month-old child. We don't want this 1-month child. We want to go on vacation. So what are we going to do with this 1-month-old child? Find them a babysitter? No. Not even close.
If new here at 9 o'clock, the Adams County Sheriff's Office is investigating tonight how a 1-month-old baby was found abandoned in the middle of the street this morning.
Yeah, that baby found in this car seat right on the Pecos Street median. And tonight we learned police have arrested the parents and they're facing felony child abuse charges. Fox 31's Nate Belt joining us now with the latest. Nate.
Yeah, guys, as you just mentioned, those felony charges just coming in as we were coming on the air here. Now, that infant is okay tonight, being checked out at a children's hospital today after being found in the median of a busy Denver street this morning. The sheriff's office says this case may not have been solved without the community's help. The Adams County Sheriff's Office got the 911 call around 9:20 Christmas morning.
There was a approximately 1-month-old infant boy in a car seat, just in a carry car seat, left in the middle of Pecos Street.
Sergeant Adam Sherman says a passerby made the call after spotting this car seat in the median and bringing the baby to safety. When deputies arrived, the baby was taken to the hospital.
Just to make sure that, body temperature is okay, feeding's okay, nothing irregular with, breathing, heartbeat, just because being exposed out in the elements in the cold this morning.
Sherman says he was in good condition. The sheriff's office launched a search for the baby's family by posting photos to social media. That search ended with finding family members who deputies were able to contact. Sherman says they appreciate the community help.
That partnership is vital. That's something that we intrinsically look for and seek out opportunities through community meetings, through engagement opportunities.
As the sheriff's office now continues the investigation, Sherman says the baby remains with officials while any possible criminal charges are pursued.
There does seem to be some sort of neglect or abandonment issue.
Abuse too.
Now, as we said at the top here, they are now facing those felony child abuse charges. Sherman encourages people to report anything unusual that they see to 911.
Say something, say something. Left a baby, a 1-month-old, in the elements, in a car seat. Who knows if that baby was wearing the proper clothing for the temperature? But what kind of parent does that? If you don't want the kid, give it up for adoption. I know that sounds bad, but a 1-month-old, somebody would adopt him. Hopefully it's not those 2 motherfuckers in Georgia that just got 100 years apiece. They won't be adopting any kids anytime soon.
And so
now, if you all live in Florida, starting January 1st, right? If you live in Florida and you have a child that is 14 and below, they will no longer be allowed social media access.
And starting next Wednesday, no one under the age of 14 will be allowed to have social media accounts in the state of Florida. Florida's HB3 will allow parents to decide whether their 14 and 15-year-olds can have social media and requires age verification on sites deemed, quote, harmful to minors. Erica Donalds is a guest faculty member at the Leadership Institute and the CEO of Optimage. She joins me now. Erica, thanks for getting up with us this morning, but I just got to know, how do you enforce something like this?
Well, that's the problem, and thanks for having me this morning. That's the problem with the patchwork of legislation that's come in the form of bans of all types in 10 different states, including, of course, now Florida, where we're not even going to really see enforcement of this law until it moves its way through the courts. We have to be very careful, especially in the states, of running amok of both parents' rights and constitutional protections, and that's what we're seeing in the form of these lawsuits. That's why a federal action is so important to stop this patchwork and allow for.
So in the Constitution, it says if you're 14 and below, you're allowed to have social media. That's definitely not a constitutional right.
For better enforcement at the App Store level.
Currently 87% of 13 to 14-year-olds use YouTube, 55% use TikTok, 44% use Snapchat, and then 43% use Instagram.
That's insane.
A huge chunk of kids.
That's
13
fucking
to 14
insane.
Years old. So when you think about this, I'm sure a lot of the parents don't mind it. I think, a lot of people would think that it would be a good idea. But then you run into the issue of, do the kids think it's a good idea?
What's up,
what kind of
Southwest?
issues is this going to cause? So what do you think about that?
Well, actually, in Florida, parents were polled about this law, and the vast majority of them prefer to have it in their own hands and in control.
Exactly.
To educate the parents on how to monitor and make sure that their children are not overusing.
Goes back to that old phrase we say a lot: check your kids' devices.
Social media, but put that control in the hands of the parents and not necessarily enact these bans. I have 3 teenage boys myself. I know that social media can be a blessing and a curse, but when parents were polled about this in Florida, almost 80% of them said they would rather have control themselves, not necessarily an outright ban.
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people would agree that social media can be very dangerous, especially if your mind is too young to absorb everything that you're being thrown. But as far as this happening in Florida.
Yeah, think like when you turn 18, you're allowed to vote, right? That means you're an adult. So isn't that when you fall out of your parents' how do I say this? Once you're 18 and you're no longer allowed under your parents' roof, right? You become an adult. Guess what? Now you can make your own decisions. However, when it comes to human mentality, psychologically, you're not actually fully developed until the age of 25. That's why pediatricians can treat up to 25-year-olds. 25 and below, Hence the insurance. Your car insurance goes down when you hit 25.
Florida, what do you think this sets does this set the stage for the national stage? I mean, is that a precedent that we're going to see in the future? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And is that a good idea?
As you said, it's very difficult to enforce. We have over 1 million apps launching every single year globally. How are they going to keep track of 1 million more social media, potentially, applications and be able to enforce this law? So Senator Mike Lee and others have supported action at the federal level that would put this parental right to restrict activities at the App Store level. So at the Apple App Store, at the Google App Store, that would limit the amount of times that your private information or your students' private information would need to be shared with these tech companies and give parents better controls over all types of applications, not app by app. That could be very difficult, not just for parents to monitor, but certainly the companies as well. We have to consider as we add regulations, it's going to inhibit innovation, which could come forth for things that are beneficial to students. And we know that social media can be beneficial when it comes to their social interaction, when it comes to education, learning about things, and also entrepreneurship. We see a lot of students starting businesses through social media. So we have to be careful about limiting these things too much where they can't even enjoy the benefits.
Yeah, you worry that is too much going to hurt them or put them at risk, and then
Kids, apps, cell phones, internet. I don't know. I have access to all their devices when I want them. No issues. I have 2 adults now, so I could care less what they got on their phone. I do have a 16-year-old, and he is online gaming a lot. And it's one of those things I got to keep checking. Good thing he's got a girlfriend. And guess what? He's down with the brown. What's up, Zip? Hey, Jilly. All right, this next... Actually, I want to put this one after. So we're going to go to a school in... Fuck, dude. I don't remember where it was. Oh, it's because they don't say. So if you're a principal, right, at a Christian religious school, whatever the fuck they want to call it, how do you get hired with certain issues that the school knew about? And it only came about after he abused a child in a classroom with a locked door for 59 or 57 minutes, almost an hour. Right? And this guy's the principal. And they had it on video. The school had it on video. It's crazy. Good morning, Chantel. How are you doing this fine Friday morning?
I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a security camera in that room. There is. Yeah, and it caught everything on camera.
You think he was playing with it?
Playing? Oh, no, ma'am. He's going to jail tonight.
Police are called to a small private school in Ocala, Florida, after the principal is accused of trapping a 5th grade student in a room and assaulting him for nearly an hour. The following report is based on police records, and most of the footage has never been seen before until now. Please note that the suspect in question and all persons charged with the crime are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law.
How are you doing, sir? God bless you.
It's almost 10 o'clock at night.
Yes, we had called because we just got a report.
It happened at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's almost 10 o'clock at night when it's reported.
One of our principal mishandled one of our kids today.
Your principal did?
Yes.
Do you have a video of it?
Yes. Yes, they have a video of it. That's the executive principal right there.
We have a video of it, but the person who can pull it up is on their way in maybe about 30 minutes before they can get here.
Are you the one that called 911?
She called 911. She's our pastor.
I'm the founder.
She's the founder of the school.
Destiny Leadership Academy is a Christian school started by Lily Tuggerson, known as Apostle T to her congregants at Immerse, the Pentecostal church nearby. It's clear immediately that the line between school employees and church followers.
So if you're a church leader, you can change your name? Hey. I'm legally changing my name. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
Is somewhat blurry.
Now, we haven't talked to the parent.
The parent doesn't know?
I don't know.
We are not
This
sure
pissed
she
me
hasn't
off.
called her, so
But we haven't talked to him.
When did you find out about this?
I found out about it about 6 or 7 o'clock this evening. The teacher called me.
And she came to the church and told me about it. I told her we're going to call the sheriff department right now.
Neither the child nor the principal himself are still on campus, leaving the police with only names and descriptions at this point.
His name is Donnie Prophet.
His last name's Prophet?
Yes.
Is that her real last name?
He would do something like that.
How old is the kid?
I think he's like in the 5th grade.
Do you know where it took place at?
No, Dr. Wagner. She knows.
Is this a school?
Yes.
Oh.
This is a school. I didn't talk to Brother Prophet about it. I mean, he's a member of our church too.
I kind of want to feel like this school, it's a money laundering scam. They're teaching kids, right? However, they don't vet properly.
So I didn't talk to him, and I didn't call the parent yet.
It'll be some time before the school secretary arrives with the surveillance video, but Dr. Vi, Destiny's executive principal, has already seen the footage, and even her description of it sounds appalling.
In that video, what did you see?
I saw the principal in severe physical confrontation with the student.
And what physical did you see?
I saw him throw the kid on the floor at one point.
And what do you mean by throw? Did he pick him up? Did he push him?
I saw a slinging.
He slinged him like that?
Yes, and then at one point he was on top of the kid.
As horrifying as these details sound, the deputy seems to wonder if something precipitated the confrontation.
Did the kid do anything to invoke this, to lead up to this? Did the kid strike him? Did they have problems in the past?
They've had problems in the past.
They've had problems in the past.
They've been the best friends.
So this is an ongoing issue?
You can't be best friends with an
I
adult.
think so.
Okay.
And it's not.
But what led, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm sorry, I'm not
He was
blaming
just
the kid.
in anger rage, so he took it out on the kid?
My understanding is that he called the kids in because they're the leaders and said that in order for you to graduate, you got to write a 5-page essay. I think he said he was not going to do it. He didn't understand why they would have to do that. And so the kid is in the video. He put his head down on the desk. And so from that point, I think the principal was trying to make the kid do what he said.
As the deputies step out to discuss the case, one of them gets the first inkling that something is off, a feeling that will only grow in the coming hours.
Well, this sounds like an aggravated child abuse arrest.
This sounds like headlines.
Oh, it gets worse, guys.
Principal of Destiny Leadership Academy arrested for aggravated child abuse.
This happened like 2 o'clock this afternoon. The kid went home. She told me he's lumped up pretty bad. The parent didn't see this?
Yeah, exactly.
The parent didn't see the marks on this kid's face?
But that's not what I'm talking about when it gets
That's
worse.
a little weird. And then they waited the secretary and the teacher waited till 30 minutes ago to finally tell them about, oh yeah, by the way, you should know about this.
The deputies run Dante Prophet's name through their system, but this standard scan returns a shocking result.
Can you imagine he's a suspect?
Another case?
He just got arrested last year.
For what? Battery?
He got arrested on a warrant last year.
He got arrested on a warrant and he's supposed to this private school.
He got arrested for a probation violation, felony 1 count, attempt to commit interfering with child custody.
As stunning
That's
as
not
this
it.
revelation is, the deputy soon realizes that he hasn't seen the worst of it.
Lewd and lascivious molestation.
You're joking.
Swear.
10-15 for it?
Yeah. I bet they don't know that. I can't wait to tell them.
As eager as the police are to share these details with the school's administrators, the reaction they get is nearly as surprising as the news itself.
Question. Do you guys do screening before you do a hiring process?
We do. Yes, we do.
You do?
Yes.
Well, I just looked up Dante and...
Yes, I know.
What?
Do you know of the serious charges that he has against him?
He's been arrested twice on a Marion County alone.
1 for molestation.
We didn't check any other
One for
counties.
where?
Child molestation.
Okay, that's the
Yes,
accusation.
that was the accusation.
Well, he got arrested for it.
Yeah.
And then the other one is interference with child custody, felony.
Is what?
Interference with child custody, felony.
What is that?
basically means that a parent or a guardian said, "Give me my kid." He said, "I'm not giving you the kid."
Yeah, he refused to give somebody's kids back. So that means he took somebody's kid, or a kid went with him somewhere to his house or something, and he refused to return the kid after the kid was put in missing. A kid that's not his.
Yeah, he's very protective.
Whoa! I missed that part the first time.
Put him missing. A kid that's not his.
Yeah, he's very protective.
Not even his kid.
The revelation that school officials already knew about some of Dante's history is astonishing, and the deputy tries to make them understand the potential problem they have on their hands.
I'm sure your parents don't want to find out that you got a a principal at your school that's molestation charges and interference with child
A lot of them know him though.
Okay, but that's
like personally.
Yes.
I got you. I mean, if I had a child and I found out my principal of my children's school,
Yeah.
I'd be freaking out.
Right. He knows a lot of them. He's very personable. This part I didn't know about it, so the accusation came. But he mentor like teenage boys and stuff, and help them finish their high school and help them go to college. So all of that.
The deputy's frustration is mounting, but it seems that school officials have already dealt with some of these concerns.
That's the same thing that anybody can have access to if they pull up his name, right? They should be able to see that.
Yeah.
But some, because a parent or two had mentioned it, but they were still, because he had done such a good job last year, they were still willing to stand behind him and let their kids come.
And now look what happened.
Parents knew, didn't give a shit.
He was not on his bed, that's what I'm gonna say.
I didn't know he took
What's up, Carmen?
Yes, he does.
What does he take meds for?
Hyper, whatever age.
Oh, ADHD?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got ADHD. I'm not beating kids.
Right?
What you said?
I said I got ADHD and I'm not beating kids.
The deputy steps aside once again to let his superior know about his accumulating suspicions.
And the owner and the head person here all know about his problems. And they're nervous as hell right now because they realize they know if when I watch this video and it shows what they're saying to me, I'm gonna have to go arrest them. But my thing is, they're saying the kid's all welted up and stuff like that. The teacher knew about it. The teacher didn't say jack until later tonight when she was confronted about it. Yeah, so I think it was a little hush-hush job going on here because they have already admitted to me that a couple of parents have came forward to them about, hey, what's up with this dude? We looked into him, and they're kind of like hushing him down like, oh, no, it's nothing. I think these people know that they're probably in for a lawsuit because they're acting real nervous. And like, oh, yeah, we knew about his past, but the parents still loved him. I go, okay.
The deputies know about the charges on Dante's record, but it's only when they pull up the official filing that they begin to piece together specifics about what the principal was arrested for 7 years ago.
Summer of 2017, I was staying at the Royal Kids Camp where Prophet was camp counselor. Yep. The camp allowing counselor to contact him if necessary. He said Prophet contacted him for the first time. Himself and his nephew.
According to the Ocala Police Department report, Dante gave letters to the child at the end of camp, writing in part, "You know that I love you and I always will." Dante kept in touch with the child over the coming months, inviting him to his apartment to watch a movie in November 2017. The report alleges that Dante laid down behind the minor on the couch and asked him, "Do you feel that?" when there was inappropriate contact. According to the report, both the victim and Dante were clothed at the time.
Awesome. And he's not a registered sexton?
No, I think he was too young. I think it fell under Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, his age?
Yeah.
Oh.
At the time, he fell under Romeo and Juliet, which just means he doesn't have to register as a sex offender.
Under Florida's Romeo and Juliet law, offenders who meet certain criteria can avoid the official offender registry, even if they're convicted of the underlying crime. It should be noted, however, that in Dante's case, prosecutors dropped the molestation charge entirely, and the court withheld adjudication on the charge of interfering with child custody. His profit organization website credits him with having faced and overcome false charges.
So you got lucky.
Yeah, you got lucky.
That's good for him. Well, he's not getting lucky tonight, I promise you.
Good.
The surveillance video will undoubtedly be crucial to the investigation, but the deputies know they must also speak to the victim. The founder of the school calls the child's mom and passes her phone to the deputy, a decision she may soon regret.
Here, you want me to talk to her?
The sheriff want to talk to you.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hey, do you mind bringing your son up here so we can talk to you guys? Because we're gonna have to talk to him regardless.
I understand. I'm just a little taken aback right now. I'm just trying to get my bearings because I was almost asleep myself.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm supposed to wake my son up and bring him out there?
Yes, ma'am. Have you noticed any bruising or lumps or anything on your son's face or body or anything?
He felt.
No. You want to talk to my kid at 11 o'clock at night? You guys can make your way to my house and interview him. I'll even let you sit in my porch while they talk to you in the doorway.
Like Mr. Prophet hit him with something. I said, I don't know if they was force playing. I don't know, but I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
The mom ultimately agrees to bring him up to the school, but as the deputy hands the pastor's phone back, he notices something alarming in her recent call history.
All right. Did you call Donnie Prophet?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Why I called?
Yeah, don't. Why'd you call? Did you talk to him on the phone?
No.
Don't call him back.
Don't call him.
And if he calls you back, don't tell him we're here. Don't tell him he's under investigation. Don't ask him about what happened.
Do not call him, please. These are very serious charges.
Yeah, we want to get our ducks in a row before we talk to him, before he has time to put a story together in his head about what happened.
Or leave town.
Yeah.
Realizing that the school's other top official, Dr. Vi, has disappeared from view, the deputies track her down to make sure she's not also trying to reach out to Dante.
Ma'am?
Just a moment.
Oh, okay.
No, she called him twice, and I saw that it wasn't a missed call either. It was an answer because I saw the seconds next to it.
Did you?
Yeah. She probably called him and warned him. Right. Have you tried to call Donnie?
Apostle did.
I know. Did you? Yeah.
Did she talk to him?
No, he didn't answer.
Okay, good. Yeah, we can't have people calling him.
Pardon?
So we can't have people calling him.
You don't want people calling him?
No. He's got a history of running.
While the officer mentions about Dante's history of running, we haven't been able to confirm the basis of this statement from the records we have access to. Before police can think about tracking Dante down, however, they need the full story. The 5th grade victim arrives, giving them their first chance to hear about the incident firsthand.
So what happened today, Mom? What happened between you and Mr. Prophet?
The boy begins with a story that matches what Dr. Vi said earlier. He was pulled from class along with a few other 5th grade boys. Soon enough, however, the other boys were sent away and he was left alone in the room with the principal.
I didn't want to be in the room at that time. So I couldn't even excuse myself because he wouldn't even let me go through the door.
Did he ever throw you on the ground?
He did hit me on the ground.
He did hit you?
And I don't think like about...
Where did he hit you?
Well, the thing that hurts the most is inside of my hip.
Can I see your hip?
Yeah, right here. Like it's right here.
Here, show me it. You're okay.
You're outside. I got you. I'm right here. Go ahead.
Right there.
Here, show me.
He wants you to see. He wants to see.
It was like a line, a big line bump. And she was like,
Can you see?
it looked like you got hit hard. I'm like, oh, that's how I was going to hit me with that computer cord thing.
Yeah.
The child's mother says that she first heard something about the altercation during a doctor's appointment this afternoon.
He told the doctor, like, what do you do about all over body pain? I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, because, well, you know, just all over body pain, like really it hurts here. And
It hurt his hips?
Yeah, he said it hurts here.
He told the doctor that?
He told the doctor on the television. He said.
Oh, it was a television.
Yeah, it was a television. She was like, I said, well, maybe it's growing pains, you know, because he's getting tall.
Do you need anything else to tell us, buddy? Did he touch you?
Listen to me. Watch me. Look at Mama. You are safe.
Oh, I'm gonna make sure of that, Bubba. I promise you
You are
that.
safe. And I will protect you with everything. If there's something you need to say, you need to say it. We will take it and we will do what we have to do to make sure everything is right, okay? Did Mr. Prophet touch you in any way that is not appropriate?
No.
Are you sure?
That's right.
What did or didn't happen today will soon be clear because the secretary finally arrives with her computer. And it won't be long before the police realize that this incident was far worse than the descriptions made it sound.
I'm just curious why.
Multiple. All today?
I don't need to see it. No, but you need. No, you need to, but you don't know. Go on. Okay, please.
The video begins with Dante sitting across from the boy, who has his head down on the desk. The principal gets up and walks over to the boy and begins prodding him, perhaps in an attempt to get his attention. But it isn't long before these antagonizing taunts spiral into something much more chaotic, and the situation soon escalates from chair wrestling into a full-fledged struggle for control. The child is clearly desperate to escape the principal's grasp, but Dante is equally determined to keep the boy under his power. In an almost unbelievable scene, Dante wrestles the boy to the floor and straddles him. But even after getting the boy under his control, Dante continues to behave in a way that alarms the deputy.
Why is he petting him like that?
Why is he what? Patting him like that?
He's rubbing his lower back and head. Well, makes sense for his other charges. Chokehold. Broke out a chokehold. He's trying to give him a chokehold.
You should probably watch this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I said you probably should watch this.
Yes, you should.
That's who you hire.
You got working around the kids.
Remarkably, the altercation is interrupted several times over the course of the video.
You have to see where he's himself is being aggressive. The kid didn't have a chance.
The door's open.
Man.
Or text me your notes with your info.
Now, who's this kid?
That's one of her kids. And where did she go in for?
No idea.
Did she say
I don't
anything?
even know.
He probably told her.
At one point, the boy sees an opportunity to escape that he can't pass up, leading to one of the video's most shocking moments.
Look at that, look at that, look at that. Oh, there it is. He tried to leave and he just threw him on the ground.
Back that up a moment.
I mean, it's
Back that up a moment.
false imprisonment.
But although the visuals from the video are hard to watch, they aren't compelling for everyone in the room.
So you don't think he was playing with me?
What?
Play? Oh, no, ma'am. He's going to jail tonight.
That's not playing.
At times, Dante's movements are slow and methodical, and the camera catches it when he slings a computer cord of some kind at the boy several times. The child later said that it was this.
As a kid, I had a lot of those extension cords. I would fucking murder this dude. I would murder him.
Cord that caused a visible mark on his face.
I think we got it.
But for as much as the deputies have already seen, the video doesn't end there, and the horror of the ongoing bullying leaves the women nearly speechless.
Spirit, what we call
He's hiding under the table.
It's stacking the spirit of right there. He is snapped.
Yes.
No reality.
Yes.
Right
None.
now. No reality.
What is he doing with that watch?
None.
He has snapped.
None.
He has snapped.
Totally.
Look at him trying to get away.
That's all he wanted was to get away.
That's when he just hit him in the face, or he just smacked him in the face.
With his hand?
Mm-hmm.
No.
At times, the confrontation devolves into intense physical conflict, and Dante is the relentless aggressor.
Starts trying to twist his ankle. Sit him.
That he need him.
You just need him.
He need him.
Oh my word.
He had him by his leg and he need him. Oh, because there was a point where I tried to walk in and I couldn't get in.
Oh, he locked you from coming in?
Because he was sitting in front of the door.
Why didn't you call the cops?
Yeah, yes.
At 2 o'clock.
But even with the women clearly horrified by what unfolded today at their school, the deputy remains suspicious of Destiny's founder.
I don't know what she's trying to hide,
No.
but she seems like she has something going on with Donnie about...
What?
The,
Well, because she's his pastor, you know,
well,
That doesn't mean
Donnie don't got a good past, I'll tell you that much.
so.
And he shouldn't be around kids.
I think she's in disbelief because
Yeah,
honestly,
I think that's what it is.
she called you guys before she seen the
I got
video.
you. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Knowing his past, I'm not shocked.
Okay, yeah.
And he shouldn't be around kids at all.
Yeah.
Because he's got a nasty little past.
I hear her now. She was talking about how upsetting it is because in her eyes, he's an upstanding person.
Yeah, I disagree. But
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she does too. Now.
All told, the video of the altercation goes on for more than 53 minutes, a shocking length of time for any violent encounter, much less one between a principal and a student. Making matters worse, the school secretary says that he's the last kid anyone would expect trouble from.
He's super intelligent, probably the smartest kid.
Probably smarter than me.
Gonna get the principal award.
What's
Very respectful, very mannerable.
As for the other deputy, he lets the school's administrators know that he's seen enough.
I don't know what you guys are going to do in-house wise, but I'm going to go find him and I'm taking him to jail for aggravated child abuse. Okay, it's a second-degree felony in the state.
Good.
Won't get a bond.
So what you mean, you don't know what we gonna do?
No.
Need to find
I'm
him
saying
first.
I don't know what you guys are doing in-house wise. Firing them, get rid of them, whatever you guys are doing. I'm saying on my end, I'm taking him to jail tonight.
Oh, he's not, it's no way that he can be here.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No, it's.
Then why don't you just
we
fire him?
Think about that.
Of course, the main obstacle now will be finding Dante Prophet, a challenge he'll have to face without the help of Destiny's founder.
Does anybody know where he lives? Pastor, do you know where he lives?
No, I don't get in people.
Check his job application.
The deputy knows that he may still have a long night ahead of him, but he takes the time
Yo.
to check with one last person.
How does the principal... How do they not know the principal's address? They know every single kid's address in the school. You mean to tell me no employees know an employee's address? They know. I'm not dumb.
Before he leaves.
Is there anything else you need to tell me, Bubba? No? I'm sorry this happened to you, man, alright? I'm gonna do my best to get him, okay? You take care of this, okay? You're a good kid, man. You're a strong kid, alright? Remember, look at me.
I don't
You're
know if I
doing
could grab him the shoulder after what
Alright.
happened.
The deputy doesn't have a beat on Dante's exact location, but he does have a phone number. Unfortunately, Dante is extremely reluctant to meet in person.
Hey, where you at, buddy? We gotta talk.
We have to talk.
Yes, sir.
What do you have to talk about?
Well, we could talk about that in person.
No, let's just talk now.
Do you have an incident with another child today at school?
Like, what happened? No.
That's what I'm asking, sir. I mean, I'm not trying to ask you point and directed questions here. I mean, did you have an incident with a student today at Destiny?
I did not.
Okay. Well, where are you at now? So I gotta talk to you, Bubba.
You're gonna have to contact my lawyer.
Having failed to convince Dante to meet voluntarily, the cops head out to the address they have on file for him.
How you doing? Is there a Dante Prophet here? Where's he at?
We haven't seen him.
We haven't seen him?
No.
So he's not here at all?
No, he hasn't been staying here. What?
Yeah, he did some not good things today, and he's running from us, so. All right, well, I appreciate it.
No, sir.
Thank you.
But if Dante's on the run, it doesn't last. He finally agrees to meet with the deputies at Immersed Church, only a few hundred yards away from Destiny Leadership Academy. The deputy begins by reading him his Miranda rights before Dante launches into his story, which starts with some unsettling comments supposedly made by the student. Claims that are Dante's alone and haven't been independently verified.
She wanted to hurt himself, hurt me, you know.
He's making statements.
Yeah, and hurt me, hurt himself.
Why would you say something like that?
Hurt the school, because lately he's been kind of having some hard times.
Okay.
For him lately.
What do you mean by hurt the school?
Says occasionally crazy statements. So, you know, and, you know, he have said that he want to shoot up the school. He want to blow up the school. I don't think he's going to actually do it.
Okay, but those are the statements he made to you today?
Yeah. He said he was going to run out the room.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I had to grab him and stop him from running out of the gate into traffic.
Okay.
And that's what he said he was going to do.
Were you trying to prevent him from running out?
Oh, 100%.
What did you do? How did you try to prevent him?
I grabbed him, which of course, he after that he did spit on me, but
he spit on. Where did you spit on you at?
I didn't see that.
Oh, okay. By grab him, what do you mean you grabbed him?
Meaning that I grabbed him. I tried to.
Did you grab his arm, his leg, his hand?
I probably did all of it.
Okay.
To restrain him.
You were trying to restrain him?
I want to keep him safe.
The deputy, who has seen more than he's letting on, doesn't seem to appear convinced of this defense.
Yeah.
So you're telling me this, and I've talked to everybody else at the school there today.
Yeah.
Everybody, and they all told me the same story about him. Very smart, very intellectual.
Very smart, very intellectual.
Not one of them ever mentioned to me ever about him ever making statements before. I did. They all denied it. They all said that he's never, because those are the type of questions I ask. I say, hey, is he a misbehaved kid? Does he misbehave at all? Does he cause problems? They said no.
If Dante still feels that he may have a chance to talk his way out of this dilemma, the deputy soon closes the door on that possibility.
So, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a security camera in that room.
There is.
Yeah, and it caught everything on camera.
Stupid.
Everything. Especially when he had his head down and you came up and started grabbing him on the legs and poking him and grabbing him in the chest. When he wasn't talking at all, his head was just down and you approached him. So why'd you do that?
Okay. At the time when I'm poking, I'm not hurting him. I'm trying to get his attention. He said he was going to hurt him.
But you're touching him.
I'm not hurting him at that time.
But you're touching him.
I want to get his attention.
Okay, but are you allowed to touch somebody without their permission?
If I'm not hurting him, I don't think.
No.
With that said, there's only one last thing to do.
Turn off from him. James, bring it back. You're under arrest, okay? Yes. I don't believe that you're trying to stop him for the hour and 15 minutes that video was recorded. Okay? By you kneeing him in the head with the welt on the side of his head from hitting him with the cable from the computer.
I did not.
You kneed him. You didn't knee him? I didn't say in his head. Knee him. What about when you got him in an ankle lock or in a chokehold? None of that? Good. Okay. Well, but I just want to let you know that is some of the best surveillance video footage I've ever seen in my life. Okay. You're probably fired too from your job, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
The deputy's prediction turned out to be correct.
His first court is in February. So it hasn't happened yet. He should be getting his court case in a little over a month. All right. Okay, I'm going to skip that one. So
what is going on, guys?
Earlier when they were talking about that social media where people like, yeah, I'm going to become a social media star by causing trouble. What happens when you get exposed on allowing children on your platforms and maybe getting them addicted to gambling? But you're a social media influencer, so it's okay, right, Jack?
Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. And well, guys, it is that time of year where the person on the internet most deserving of a roast will finally meet their demise. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with Jack Doherty, a man known for his multiple despicable scams, texting while driving, then crashing in a McLaren, pimping out 18-year-old girls to OnlyFans contracts, and then proceeding to promote them to his fan base of children, and much, much more. Well, recently I had reached out to his manager and asked if he would be down to do an interview for a documentary I was doing on upcoming young content creators, and surprisingly, he actually said yes. And let's just say things got a bit heated in the call. The following footage is everything that occurred during this interview, but first, I must quickly let y'all know that... Come on!
Your Christmas tree, man.
Into the video. So one thing that a lot of people were asking about that I'll just relay for you is your primary source of income. Where would you say you make the most amount of money on the internet? If you don't mind disclosing that. If you do, that's all.
I'm pretty sure you're digging for the OnlyFans answer. No, I'm kidding, but obviously, I mean, it's not like, so that's not known. But yeah, I mean, a decent amount of my money comes from OnlyFans management and that side of things, but also a decent chunk of it. My monthly income comes from my own stuff. I have a kick deal, I have a gambling deal, I have a YouTube channel and a bunch of other stuff. So I make enough money, off just myself. But yeah, I also run a business because it helps me fund everything else I do.
Absolutely, man. So I wanted to mention, I wanted to talk on that fact. So you said you had a gambling deal. Is that what the website?
No, I mean, I was about to work with them, but I ended up just going with a different company. I literally just locked it in last week.
Awesome. So basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to get paid to stream yourself gambling, correct?
Pretty much, Billy. What's up, DJ?
And do you have some sort of code where like someone can sign up with your code and then you'll get a percent of that?
What are you, the feds?
I'm just wondering. I mean, do you have a code? Because I mean, there's a lot of ethical issues people have with people.
No, I actually don't even. I don't have a code yet. We haven't even figured all that out yet. But it's more of like I just rock the brand. You know, I don't even gotta gamble. I don't like gambling. I'm not really for gambling.
So why are you doing a gambling deal then? Because I'm
money, you know, at the end of the day, we all do things for money. But
I know, but so you say you don't like gambling, but you're willing to do it just for money.
I don't like Jack Doherty, but you want to call with him? No, I'm kidding. But
no, it's just an interview. Do you feel like it may be a negative thing by any chance to promote gambling to especially, you know, a younger audience, considering the fact that it may cause them into signing up onto these gambling sites and becoming gambling addicts themselves?
I mean, as long as they use my code, I'm completely okay with it.
So you're okay with them developing a gambling addiction as long as it financially benefits yourself?
Bro, I don't think I'm gonna be starting anyone's gambling addiction. I'm not going that deep into it, bro. I'm just trying to get a bag.
But at the end of the day, I'm just curious. Why do you keep saying something and then saying I'm just kidding?
You can't control what people do online. You know, if I'm gonna get someone if I don't get someone into gambling because of my videos, then someone else is gonna get that person into gambling.
Yeah, but you can influence what people do online, right? Like you can influence someone. Like somebody can be like, I'm Jack Doherty's biggest fan. I'm watching Jack Doherty gamble right now. This looks so cool. So now I'm gonna go gamble myself. And I may be using money that I don't have because I'm not rich like Jack Doherty, and I'm not playing with house money like Jack Doherty.
I know not to gamble. Obviously I have a lot of money and I don't gamble. Like, it's like
but
you just.
So you agree that gambling is you think that gambling is a stupid thing to do, correct?
Sure.
So why would you willingly promote that to your fans?
He's cooked.
What? Because why not? No, I'm kidding. But like, I mean, there's a lot of
can I ask you a question? Why do you is that like a
lot of stupid, like I promote? Do I not promote OnlyFans as well? Like, don't me for that too, dog. I haven't even started this gambling thing yet.
Oh my. Well, maybe I'm trying to help prevent you from doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to help you see some reason with the whole gambling thing. Just because I personally know people that have ruined their entire lives over gambling.
Trust me, I know too. I help people around me too that have the same problem.
I know, but you just but do you see why that's so weird though?
I'm gonna put them right back in once I get my code.
Yeah. Okay.
They say 99% gamblers quit right before their biggest win, huh? No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
Don't put that in there.
No, it's all right. Well, I mean,
you're
just kidding, right?
kidding,
so, I mean, how could
kidding,
anybody possibly fault you for anything you say if you're just kidding about everything you say, right?
Exactly, bro. Case closed.
I mean, where'd you learn that? Like, did you learn that from somewhere? Did you pick it up, or did you create that yourself? Did your dad say he loved you once, and then it just kind of went from there? Like, where'd you learn that catchphrase?
You know, he pulled it just kidding right away. I don't know, man.
Okay, well, let's move on real quick. So, a lot of people have, you know, some fault with you promoting OnlyFans to young children. What would you say to these people who say that, you know, that's an irresponsible thing to do? You know, making videos for young children with editing that's stylized for young children, and then at the end of these videos, what you're doing is promoting pornography. What do you say to that?
Business, dog. What are you gonna do about it?
It's just business?
I'm kidding. Sorry.
No, okay, Jack, come on, man. Come on. Just how about you just say it, but then stand by it. Just say it's just business, and then be like, it's just business. Just say just be like, look, I'm gonna promote.
Like, it's just like at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and
just be like, I'm gonna promote to kids because I want to make money, and that's it, right?
I'm kidding. All right, ready? You don't gotta look at it like that. There's a million people online that are social media influencers, and they do OnlyFans. Like, people that you don't even think do it. Like,
would you say that
like I should do it?
If you were to look in the mirror right now and you see yourself in the mirror and you say, I'm proud of who I am today, would you say that or not? And just be honest with me.
For sure. I definitely would say I'm proud of who I am today. You know, obviously, everyone makes mistakes in life. You got to learn from them. Every time I make a mistake, I analyze what I did wrong, and I'm like, let me make sure that never happens again because I don't want to be in that same situation.
Now, all right. Now, I like, this is the last time I'll say this. I don't want to sound like a broken record. But since, you know, I admit it, you admit it, our fan base is made the majority of kids. Do you think that it would be unwise to promote gambling and OnlyFans?
Bro, I haven't even gotten a penny from this gambling deal yet, dog. Why are we still on this topic?
All right, can you calm down, buddy? All right.
No,
I don't know why. Wait, were you just? Wait, please tell me you were just kidding there when you got angry, right? Were you just?
Nah, I was just kidding.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting angry, bro.
I hope you're just kidding, right? No. How about you back up? You're getting a bit close. I can see your.
I'm gonna get my security guard, dog.
I can see your butt chin in the.
Yeah, we know you.
I'm good off that, bro. I don't need to see that. Okay, let's move on. So let me ask you one really important question. Okay, why do you think you're famous? What are the good attributes you have that got you this point today?
I mean, I've been doing this shit since I was 12 years old. You know, I've just learned over the course of the past 8 years, and just taken everything I've learned and applied it, and it works. You know, like there's not people my age that are competing with me right now. I don't have much competition at all because I'm just so far ahead of everyone at the end of the day because I've been doing it for so long.
You're just the greatest, right, Jack?
I've also dedicated my whole life to this for the past 8 years. I don't do anything else but work.
You're just the greatest.
That's not working.
You're the greatest YouTuber. You're the greatest kick streamer.
It's not work. It's really easy. It takes a little bit of research. Well, he does shit different than I do. I don't go out harassing people.
You're the greatest OnlyFans promoter of all time, okay? Now listen, Jack, I want to tell you that honestly. You are the greatest promoter of all time. No, honestly, you know what I want to tell you, Jack? You know what I tell you that I'm tired. Jack, I'm fucking tired. You know what I'm fucking tired of, Jack? I'll tell you what I'm tired of, Jack.
So, also be aware of the influencers watching your children are viewing. Because a lot of them are not very bright, and they promote adult activities to children. And they have thousands of followers. Don't forget Jeffrey Marsh. That motherfucker had a private Patreon where you couldn't be above 17 years old. And it was a private place for you to go to get away from your parents and talk about your parents. With Jeffrey Marsh, I'm not bad, guys. I'm just trying to help the kids because the kids need somewhere to go. Jeffrey Marsh, not only are you a fucking chomo, you're a fucking faggot. Alright? Now that the news is over, we're going to get into a little bit of alternate history. Before we get into alternate history, we're going to take a quick music break. Again, this is brought to you by Roots Calhoun. Go get some water. Go drink, use the bathroom. Whatever it is you guys need to do. I'll be back.
It's the spirit of Chicago, live in effect. You see that true skill, dude. Still rhyme on the steps and fuck a check. Cause you ain't getting shit without respect. And all you pussies on the mic, best to protect your neck. We old school, selling bootleg copies of Pro Tools. Roots knock you out like a big plate of that soul food. You fake it's tofu, looking around with no clue. It's mathematics, these lyrics are like Sudoku. They don't get it, they don't see what it's about. We don't talk shit, homie, we just got it figured out. It's hip hop, 7 odds, culture representatives. Motherfucking animals that's well versed in elements. Been breaking while the record's spinning, spit and throw it up. You ain't no comprende, then you're better off to know you're fucked. Hustle street bazaar, this the people's art. And all we do around here is trying to keep it off.
Dreaming, for that gleam without a meaning. But you ain't seeing what's in front of you deceiving. There's no escape from the web they've been weaving. Think of what you're taking when you're leaving. Leaving, you're dreaming. For that gleam without a meaning. But you ain't seeing what's in front of you deceiving. There's no escape from the web they've been weaving. Think of what you're taking when you're leaving. Leaving. Set matches, batch total devastation. Pathetic synthetic trash created this equation. Miscommunication sent throughout the nation. Completed the depletion. Secretion through the ages. Nothing through the pages prior to disintegration. Grasp onto the thought before belief's imagination. Influence congruency, a hip-hop philosophy. Strength within the numbers prevents the monopoly. When handled properly, we building up the property. Karma like my luck, but I still ain't hit the lottery. Building up the bank and make Fort Knox a mockery. Built from my discography, dare you to try a robbery. Securely on the lens, got forensic technology. Trace the family tree if you sink the anthropology. You know not what you do, so no need for an apology. Don't question the authority that's reading your psychology. You're dreaming, for that gleam without a meaning. But you ain't seeing what's in front of you deceiving. There's no escape from the web they've been weaving. Think of what you're taking when you're leaving. Leaving, you're dreaming, for that gleam without a meaning. But you ain't seeing what's in front of you deceiving. There's no escape from the web they've been weaving. Think of what you're taking when you're leaving. Leaving.
Nothing, fade to black, straight into the grave with that. I stay away from bad vibes and voodoo like an Asian cat.
Trace your tracks through the map, don't need to even state the fashion needles to a chalkboard, but one swipe erase your raps.
Pace and act, pace of karma, gain some, pace some back. The game's a trap player, hope you know to keep an ace for that.
Best believe the sleeves lined up down, avoid the blast, to build them like they used to. I highly doubt these toys will last.
Shit, I'm a Tonka truck, those what you thought you dunk. Break down the bill, Joe, beware of who you walk amongst.
Bring the funk from the soul, mixed with a hit the skunk. Battleships, blasted ass, hit you till your ships are sunk.
They drowning.
Sharks are surrounding.
SS Indianapolis.
Going down, kid.
Through a Hiroshima cloud.
Hot, low, cock, blow. Bet your bottom dollar scholars learn how to rock crowds.
another Roots Calhoun hit for you guys. If you don't have his channel, I'm actually going to drop the link to the video. You can get to the channel from there. So now that the news and updated stuff is finished, we're going to go on to the basic, how am I going to say this? Getting back to business on history. Not the history that they taught you in school. Some of us, maybe we did, but we just forgot about it. And I was often wondering, why is history different than what, reality shows? And do you remember how I said that there's 1,000 years missing between 800 and 1800? There's a video that pretty much proves my same point. But I'm not going to play that one today because that's like an hour and some change. But I do have videos that I will go over. Some of them may be an hour, some may be 45 minutes. But you know how I like to watch the old world and the architecture and how lies are being covered up. And I was watching some of these videos, and it brought back in mind there is a lot of not wildfires. There's a lot of fires that happen in these older buildings. And why? What's up, Taco Cat? Why are there so many fires in old world buildings? I don't know if this is the video going to explain it. The next one will. But let's take a little dive into the old world and how it was covered up. Video brought to you by My Lunch Break.
I'm going to introduce an alternative conclusion as to why these palaces are all over the world today. I'm going to attempt to take our thought process a little deeper. And we're also going to see a palace in Russia that we are told has a painter that died years before the construction was even close to being done. Because we all paint our house before it's built.
Right.
No. Right here on stpetersburg.com. We are given a panoramic shot of St. Petersburg, Russia, with perfect dirt roads where I don't see a single person. Massive buildings everywhere, yet not one person. These photos are from 1861, only 3 years after they say that this was constructed. You can see this palace in the fourth shot in the panoramic view, where it's becoming clearer and clearer that these cities all over the world, palaces, were constructed by a massive civilization, one that was here before us, a civilization that had incredible technology, and a civilization that was here only a few hundred years ago, a civilization that is clearly being hidden to us. Yet their construction sits here looking at us straight in the face. These photos are alarming in my opinion. Everyone should be asking questions.
Especially the old churches.
One question should be, who paved all of this dirt? Like it's all perfectly prepared for these photos. And I'm going to suggest an alternative, much less likely idea, an idea that should just be out there for people to think about. And possibly not just an alternative idea, but something that could definitely be an addition to what we have already known. That there was a previous civilization here before us. But after doing countless hours of this research on this topic, after looking at these photos, where these cities look like they were on display for all of us, almost like they were prepared for us, cleaned up perfectly, and ready for us all to come into the picture in the late 1700s. An idea that I'm just gonna throw out there into the world for everyone to think about, instead of being just stuck in my head, is, are there two groups? One that actually cared about us, possibly created us, and set this stage for us, and one that does not care about us, with the corrupt group still being here, and the other group that built our incredible stage and felt that we deserve the greatest palaces to live in and use. The group that fully understood this type of incredible construction, possibly no longer here, with a corrupt group that ended up wanting to control an entire population, us. Changing the narrative to all of these buildings, hijacking all of the buildings, calling them Capitol buildings, banks, buildings for them now, and no longer for us. Buildings that were always and originally meant for us, where they are now used
of the
as
people,
this
by the
group's
people, for the
offices
people.
to control us,
Now what that meant?
destroying the rest of the buildings with wars, great fires that weren't so great, tricking us for 200 plus years, giving us a ridiculous story that a group of people that had a population of basically nobody, that rode around on donkeys with no technology, were the master builders of stone-carved and marble basilicas that stand the test of time all over the world, when in reality it was a much more powerful group that is no longer here. Or maybe they are and
here.
Watching from a distance. A group that set the stage for all of us, built all of these incredible buildings that we have been talking about this entire time. Temples, cathedrals, basilicas, capitol buildings, houses that are white, and no, not the vinyl siding ones. Is it possible that we are so much more important, so much more powerful than we are told, and completely tricked and manipulated into thinking that we are just these lazy pawns to these corrupt individuals that stole our buildings, our land, making us feel like we're born just to work and sleep, just to struggle over and over, when in reality, our lives are so much more important and incredibly valuable. In reality, they have stolen our buildings, taken them from us, and giving us these depressing, ugly boxes in return, which are demoralizing to look at. We know that the historical narrative that we are currently given is complete nonsense. We have proven this, in my opinion. We have shown massive flaws, including the popular
point where I was talking about.
We know that the historical narrative that we are currently given is complete nonsense. We have proven
Detroit, 2011, and it showed Detroit in the past. That's too much.
That the historical narrative that we are currently given is complete nonsense.
Detroit, 1882. Look at that building. It's fucking beautiful. And then let's look at it in 2011. Pay attention to this building in the middle.
We have proven that
because it's the only one that's still standing. Where's the building to the left and right? Now, I was telling my buddy that I believe a lot of these destroyed ghettos like this around the country, especially Detroit, Chicago, and all that, where nobody wants to live, there's history there. There's history there, under the ground. So urban exploring these houses would be great, especially if I had a pistol, because I don't know what's in these houses or what's under the houses. And there are tunnels. There's a whole other video. I can't remember if I do it, if it's this segment, this stream, or it's the next stream. But dude, diving back into this, it's great because it's like a refresher. And some of you have been listening to me for about a year. You're hearing it again.
This, in my opinion. We have shown massive flaws, including the population lie, where supposedly we are being told that nobody wants to have kids with anyone for thousands of years. And then in the 1700s, out of nowhere, the human mind changes for the first time ever. Just a random fluke, we are told. And people finally enjoy each other's company and finally want to have kids with each other. And this narrative was accepted for far too long. What we don't know, and what we all want to know, is where we are. What is the truth? Who actually built these buildings? They are incredible, and nothing like the buildings that we build today. It's built by a different mindset. They're built with much more technology, much more information that we do not have. We are not taught these skills in our highest architecture classes. Which class shows us how to knock out a palace in a year with no power tools, no light bulbs, no shipping companies, nothing? That chapter was left out of the college architecture book. We all know this. These buildings that we all see in every single one of our cities, they tell a much different story than what we've all been told by the mainstream narrative. And this narrative, this lie, it only helps one group, and the group is not us. There was a previous civilization that was here before us, a civilization that was massive and held incredible technology. But there is a very real possibility in my mind that there are also higher powers that are possibly still here that set this current stage for us. And the game has now been corrupted. We don't advance our overall thought process by simply being quiet. Who maintained all of this dirt? We're being told that a civilization of no people had the capabilities to construct an entire palace city. And this city will last forever. Yet when you look at the finished product, there isn't a single person anywhere. It's empty. And here we have St. Isaac's Cathedral, located in St. Petersburg, Russia. And the inside just blows your mind, with massive doors, incredible detail, with a height of over 330 feet. And we are told the exact same story that we've seen all over the world, that this wasn't even the first structure. This one was the replacement. In fact, it was the 4th consecutive church standing at this place. The exact same location has had 4 churches here. This is what we're being told. I'm shocked that this pattern, that 4 buildings have been on the same site. How has this pattern not been identified before? We see the exact same thing, even over in Texas.
You gotta think about this, people that believe in the Library of Alexandria, which carried a lot of, history to this planet. And it burned down. Like a lot of these Capitol buildings. Jesus.
When they have 7 courthouses on the exact same site. We've seen it all over. It's a repeating pattern. All of these narratives all over the world are, in my opinion, created by the same source. And in my opinion, based on everything that we've seen, it's an AI, very similar to ChatGPT. This palace has bronze doors, internal columns, statues on the inside, and of course, the interior was originally decorated with paintings that have been since painted over. And supposedly they reproduced them. They had to get rid of the originals because they deteriorated because of the cold and damp conditions inside. This is incredible how they get away with destroying the originals over and over. We are told that this building was constructed between 1818 and 1858. When we can easily catch this narrative in a lie, when we go to Vatican City and take a look at Sistine Chapel, where Michelangelo painted this in 1508 to 1512,
That looks good to me.
supposedly, predating this Russian painting by over 300 years. And it's holding up just fine, unless, of course, Michelangelo had a better paint set. It's ridiculous. So the paintings should have been just fine in Russia. And this is when the story gets even weirder, when they tell us that during World War II, the dome was also painted over, making it gray to avoid attention from enemy aircraft. So I hope we're all seeing very clearly at this point what these wars, seeing what their true purpose was. Clearly destroying these buildings, removing the inside because it was too cold. Give me a break. And they say the work was never completed. But when you take a look at the inside, it looks pretty completed to me. It doesn't even look like they missed one spot. And they tell us that the original paintings were done by this Karl guy and other random Russian masters of the day. And of course, no need to name these Russian masters of the day, but here is Karl. It was the pose of the day. Could you imagine if we gave information the way the mainstream narrative did? Just saying they were the flavor of the day, painted by the painters of the day, like it's some sort of special on the menu. It's incredible how this was accepted as fact for so long. It's shocking. And Karl died before the construction was done. Do we all paint our houses before the construction is done? Or is this the last step in the process? It is the last step. You don't paint your house years before it's done. He died in 1852. We are told that the building is done in 1858. So this guy that put the finishing touches on the palace is dead 6 years before the building is done. So we know we don't paint our house 6 years before it's done. Oh, and if we go down here at the bottom, we can see that this was his self-portrait. Very nice choice, Karl. Let's take a look at the technologies of this palace, where William Handyside is the engineer. So Handyside is the guy where they get 10,000 tree trunks and throw them into the marshy banks. So they want us to believe that there's just a bunch of tree trunks under this palace. And I know they're a bunch of liars at this point. So when we see something like this, I know to go deeper. This statement makes me think that there is something under this palace that has significant value. When we can see that this building has artwork and exhibits from a museum that were hidden away in the cathedral's basement. So now we know that this palace has a basement with valuables in it, and all chalked up to this war again. So they lay down these 10,000 tree trunks on a marshy bank, and then knock out a massive basement on top of all that, and then build a palace, and paint it before it's done, and then get rid of those paintings because it's a little too cold, but never finish those paintings, of course. Oh. And this is the 4th palace on the same site. It sounds like a lie. I wonder how much bigger this palace is underground, like we have seen in episode 44. when we caught a tunnel on camera from the Illinois State Capitol building while they were in the middle of destroying something and just call it a renovation project. So here's the construction photo that they give us. A photo from expresstoroussia.com. There's a big problem though with this picture. It's a drawing. And we know that they had cameras in 1816. So why give us a drawing? I've said this before, but it's so true. For all we know, they just drew this last night. It's a drawing. It's obviously not proof of construction. Not even close. Here we are told we have a view of the cathedral surrounded by wood scaffolding from another drawing, drawn 3 years ago by a master drawer of the day, as the mainstream narrative likes to say. It's incredible. So in 1931, they turned this cathedral into a museum when, under the Soviet government, the building was stripped of religious trappings. In 1931, it was turned into the Museum of the History of Religion and Atheism. So the complete opposite of a cathedral. Going back to my suggestion that there's possibly a group that wants to take these buildings that were originally meant for us in a positive manner and turn them into the complete opposite, removing everything that was once given to all of us, a cathedral, changed to a museum of history and atheism, where the original dove structure was removed and replaced by a Foucault pendulum, which we all know at this point is some weird symbol for this group. Let's check this palace out, now that we know that this building's narrative is forever in shreds. So here we have the St. Isaac's Cathedral, and right over here we have another building that'll no longer be hidden in plain sight, the Mariinsky Palace. Now let's have some fun. And make sure you don't confuse it with the theater. And thank you for letting us know about this masterpiece. Is there a more entertaining topic? Finding buildings, palaces, that make no sense in the fabricated timeline that we're given. Palaces that we can actually go and visit, especially when we're told that this was built in a year. And unfortunately, the original building was destroyed by a fire.
Look back at the title of my stream.
In 1859, adding to our fire total.
Oh, interesting
Mind
year.
Blown yet? Should we go deeper? The new one, the one that's here today, the palace opened up the very next year. So the theater's narrative is clearly a mess. So let's go back to this palace, where in 1839, they were building palaces as wedding presents. This is incredible. Built in 5 years, from 1839, and wrapped it right up in 1844. And then, of course, taken over by the Russian government and off limits to the public. Were these buildings built for them? It's definitely an interesting thought that these narratives are thrown together by this group as a successful attempt to steal these buildings from us and clearly getting away with it, and then create the passport so that if we want to go visit these lands that were once all ours, you need to make sure you have your papers. I don't think this was the world that was created for all of us. I think it was the complete opposite. And it's been 100% infiltrated worldwide. And it's beginning to feel more and more like everyone's starting to realize that. And I was looking at this area and saw these two buildings in the background that clearly look out of place. So let's check this one out first. A building that was taken over by the Russian Navy, where they tell us that an earlier wooden church sat on the exact same site. And then we have the other palace that we just saw. And remember, all of these buildings, they're all right next to each other. This is the Trinity Cathedral. Let's show the world that the lie is over. It's game over for the mainstream narrative. And there is no going back. We will all never forget this. The more and more people that see the lies, the faster the truth is going to be shown.
So this is interesting. This is one of the churches I visited in Trier, Germany. And supposedly it has a piece of the shroud Jesus Christ wore. But look at the fucking building. And when I went inside and I looked up, because you can't really see the whole cathedral from this angle, that bitch was fucking tall. I mean, look at the openings compared to the little door they have now. Oh, you can't see it with this red mouse. Fuck. Yeah, they look like they bricked up, considering the color of the bricks, the original opening. Yeah, to say that these churches, they still exist, but it's harder and harder to find in the United States. But there was another church I visited in France where I went under the church, right? And under the church was literally a cemetery with like not famous people, but you know, the people of the time, you know, people of the time, which I thought was really weird and funny, not funny, interesting at the same time. Like I had no fears about going into the basement of a church or underground of a church, and the underground was still dirt. They hadn't changed nothing. I thought that was pretty interesting, but that was the only place under the ground we were allowed to go.
Known to us, where we are told that the Trinity Cathedral was constructed in 1828 to 1835, and in 2006, the blaze apparently started on scaffolding on the outside of the church, which was undergoing restoration. And we all know that restoration really means destruction. I have something to add on. Is there a world under our feet that we're unaware of? Buried by mud and dirt? Sure, New York and Chicago and the major cities have tunnel systems, and we know this. But where it gets crazy is that it isn't just the major cities. It's even in cities such as Oshkosh, Wisconsin. These tunnels underground have been used for many things back in the day. That
Oshkosh one, I believe we will get into tomorrow, because that's the other video I wanted to show, but it was too long.
No, we aren't just brushing this one off anymore with the back in the day stuff. It goes on to say, one of those things was running liquor back and forth from building to building. So even in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, the buildings are connected underground with zero...
Remember when the Jewish guys got caught building a tunnel in New York? Maybe they were looking for the tunnel.
Construction photos of anyone ever connecting a building to another one. Are you seeing the lie even clearer now? Should we go even deeper? Here we go. Now, I mentioned Oshkosh in episode 40, and we went there and saw that they have griffins on the top of their building. Now, we know this town also has a tunnel system that connects all the buildings together. So when I was showing how the windows are all below the current ground level, this is what I'm talking about.
Holy shit.
There is a tunnel system. These buildings are so much bigger than we can see. And how deep are these tunnels? What is down there? And you know, something crazy is going on in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, when you have massive military contracts awarded to Oshkosh Defense. On December 16th, 2022, Oshkosh Defense LLC announced that the U.S. Army placed a $543 million order. We are always told to trace the money, right? A massive military corporation providing aid to the Army, Marines, Air Force, and Navy. Who is really in charge of this town, setting up these kind of operations and massive contracts? So we have tunnels, massive military contracts, griffins on the buildings, pillars and columns everywhere. And there is a book called Oshkosh Down Under. And look at this stuff. We have photos of the entrance to the tunnel from the old Mercy Medical Hospital. Tunnels in the 1800s? Not only were they building above ground, but also below? Here we have the tunnel from the hotel to the Opera House. And there's even a sign saying tunnel to the courthouse. Remember, these tunnels connect all of the buildings, not just one. There is a massive tunnel system right below the sidewalk. So when you go back and watch episode 40, remember that there are now proven tunnels below where I was standing. This is crazy stuff. In the future, if you guys like this kind of stuff, I'll go back to Oshkosh.
Apparently under Purdue, there's a shit ton of tunnels. If I go to Purdue with my buddy, we have to... Let's just say we'll be breaking the law.
And see if we can get inside the tunnels. And so we're clear. These tunnels were found and repurposed by our current civilization, in my opinion. This book states that they used the tunnels to transport prisoners from the jail to the courthouse, which they no longer do. But this is not what it was originally used for, of course. Here we have a photo of the entrance to the tunnel from the county safety building, taken by the city of Oshkosh. So these tunnels were no secret. It's incredible. Now in 1944, we have a witness that states she was working for Gateway Valley Wholesale Liquor, located next to a private garage. She left for lunch one day and saw an area that was going down into the hotel. And this opened up into a tunnel leading underneath the alley and into the hotel. She says that she remembers seeing glass cubicles that brought light down into the tunnel by using the sun, of course. And to prove her story to be true, there is a map below from the Sanborn Fire Insurance map of 1903. So they had to report their map to the insurance company. And the map shows that there are in fact tunnels under the hotel. So when I was showing you all the windows that were at the current ground level,
there's a lot of
40, and also the exact same thing, most likely going on in Ancient Champaign, episode 36, in my opinion, I think that all of these tunnels in all of these cities and towns lead to a central point. And I think that this point is where the Freemasons set up their lodge. I think the lodge is the central point of all the tunnels. But that's just where my opinion stands at the moment, based on all of my research. The police were the ones enforcing the prohibition. These tunnels lead from the courthouse to the jail. And all the places...
That's a newer tunnel, not the ones they're talking about. Look at the bricks.
That were enforcing the prohibition, including the courthouse and many other places. But my point is, this wasn't designed to smuggle alcohol by gangsters and bootleggers. You wouldn't design your tunnel to go right to the jail or the courthouse or the police station. These tunnels were used for a much different reason for the previous civilization. And how deep do these things go? Are there more that we don't know about? Are there buildings completely covered by the dirt that we can't see? And this is not the only town that this kind of stuff is taking place in. For example, we have the Ybor tunnels located in Tampa, Florida. There is no doubt that tunnels do exist under Ybor City, but their purpose...
Every Freemason that I've ever had a chance of running to has been black, and they use it to get promoted, and it's mainly in the military. And I believe my grandfather himself was a Freemason. Maybe my dad was too, but fuck them.
This is highly debated. The most common belief is that bootleggers or the Tampa Mafia dug the tunnels under many of the establishments along the city's main drag, connecting them to the port, allowing easy smuggling of shipments of liquor in and out of the city. So another narrative saying this was for smuggling liquor with zero evidence.
Straight to the courthouse.
As this was just a common belief. Who says that this is a common belief? Who gets to decide that? This is not what I believe at all. Not even close. I believe that these tunnels were there before, found and repurposed possibly, but not created for alcohol smuggling. This is crazy. All over the world they use this crazy narrative, building massive tunnels that connect so many buildings together perfectly. All for alcohol? No way. A reminder, of course, that this was done by a civilization that rode around...
Think about like these tunnels. In those days, people were supposedly tall. Like, that's why the doors were really big. But then it goes back to the tunnels being built by children. Look how short those tunnels are. And if it was built by children, that would actually make sense.
Around on horses and couldn't even build a road. Dirt roads, but incredible tunnel systems around the world. Give me a break. They couldn't even build a road on the ground. Why should we believe that they could create connecting massive tunnel systems below the ground, all over the world, all for alcohol? And was there something that these tunnels had underground that we weren't allowed to see, or are possibly still there? Did they have the previous civilization's items, their technology? This is a classic example of using the previous civilization's technology and saying this is the first time. We really honestly don't come up with ideas very often. All of these things that we're told are invented in the last 200 years at rapid speeds, and are all things that the previous civilization already had. And was there only one previous civilization? Or has this happened many, many times before? And do you want to see how this works?
Yes.
Do you think this is a one-off? Would you like to see how the narrative is coming from a single source, telling the narrator what to say to us, lying and repeating the same story over and over and over, just like the news, being told what to say and not actually showing proof of anything, just guessing and telling us that it is common belief, never even seeing a bottle of alcohol down in one of these tunnels, and we just accept it.
Some of the
Not anymore. We're all allowed to question it and use common sense and use only facts to form how we look at things. The tunnels of Benicia. Not only are we given the exact same narrative as the other two tunnels, But we are also given the exact same words. Bootleggers transporting alcohol through the hidden tunnels in California. This is the exact same story, yet thousands of miles away from each other. From Oshkosh to Florida to California. How do they all know how to make perfect tunnels underground, but cannot build a road on the ground? Never a mistake, just perfect tunnels, all connecting to all of the buildings. Now knowing this information, how can we even look at a building with windows under the current ground level the same ever again? And this paragraph is showing it to us again, that all of these things that we are suggesting
arguably a more proper and kid-friendly explanation
makes so much more sense than the crazy narrative that we are told, suggesting that there were people before us and that our narrative is lying to us about it for their benefit and to hold power over the people. Why would that be shocking? It isn't. It is also so much more believable than the crazy timeline that we are given, and the mistakes make it clear that there were dirt roads, yet there were perfect tunnel systems underground with no power tools. Who is transporting the people to these tunnel sites? An Uber? No, they were supposedly riding their horse home in time for dinner. Now this paragraph states that arguably a more proper and kid-friendly explanation. Wait, before we continue. They again don't know why these tunnels are here and just making things up. Okay, here we go. Some mysterious people that we don't know who they are say that the tunnels were originally created as an escape route for the town's elites. Believers of this theory claim that there was a tunnel entry point at the Capitol building, connecting to the clock tower and surrounding buildings. The underground route would allow for the city's elites to safely escape militaristic threats. Now, this tunnel system is supposedly connecting all the old world buildings together, exactly like we have shown in the other cities. My question is, what in the world is underground? And how big are these buildings? I definitely don't think that the dirt is just hiding some tunnels. These old world buildings that look insane above ground must have unbelievable stuff underground that we cannot see. How big is the Cologne Cathedral? What kind of tunnel systems are under these major cities? It's incredible stuff. The door is now wide open for us to go even deeper, literally and figuratively. If we're able to get our hands on technology that can see underground, one day, this could be bigger than we ever imagined. Oh, and we're not done yet, because I'm not leaving evidence on the table. We have the Bavarian tunnel system, where we are told, and I quote, that there were 3 separate tunnels connected to at least 4 different buildings at the Bavarian brewery. More alcohol and more tunnels and more buildings. And even more uncertainty from the narrator. The north entrance was reportedly in the boiler house, but it may have been in the engine room structure, which was converted to a bottling department after Prohibition. So it might have been, but we really don't know what we're talking about, because we found these tunnels and we're clearly lying. Let's scroll down and take a look at this together. And keep in mind what words they are using. They don't know how these tunnels got here. What they write is a complete lie in my opinion. Here we go. They also illustrate that Tunnel T3 had been bricked up by 1950. Wait, what? They bricked the tunnel up? I wonder what they didn't want us to see in 1950. Yeah. And this was probably done sometime during Prohibition, but of course they aren't sure. And we are supposed to just accept that. There would have been staircases in both of these buildings providing access to the tunnel. And it is believed, but totally unsure again, in the exact same paragraph, there is so much guessing and uncertainty. But it is believed that Tunnel T2 was used beginning in 1907, possibly until the brewery was closed in 1966. Possibly. So they are unsure about all of this. They don't know anything. They are trying their best to explain away massive tunnel systems that were here in the 1800s.
No, I've never actually looked at history that's being told to us, paying attention to these key words. Holy shit.
Into the narrative that connect massive buildings together during a time period that people supposedly had candlelight. Do we all understand how hard it would be to dig out all of this dirt and form massive tunnel systems? The dirt would have to go somewhere. Do you think nobody would notice this dirt? And this would take so long that surely somebody would notice the dirt sitting there eventually. They didn't have dump trucks. They could take the dirt away in a day. Surely somewhere in the world where these tunnels were being built, some authority figure would have some questions. Like, what are you guys doing over there? with massive amounts of dirt piling up and thousands of pounds of limestone for the walls. The narrative sounds so insane and a joke, because it is. And I'm so thankful that we are on the other side of this narrative now, not just blindly accepting it because we're told to. So what happened to this tunnel? Well, in 2017 to 2019, during the construction of the Kenton County Government Center, Turner Construction reported encountering multiple tunnels. So there were even more tunnels than we're told about. And T2 and T3 were in their way. So Turner demolished the tunnels. So let's move to Cincinnati, Ohio, where 40 feet below the current ground level, 10...
They bricked up the doorway here on the left-hand side. Bricked up with red brick.
Move to Cincinnati, Ohio, where 40 feet below the current ground level, 10,000 square feet of tunnels were supposedly built in 1855. Now, after everything that we have said, this is just insane. Another tunnel system in the 1800s, and they aren't going to tell us that this one was used for alcohol too, or will they? Oh, of course they will. This one belonged to the Link Brewery, which was a half a mile away from the tunnels. What? Wait, the brewery was a half a mile away from the tunnels, but they are taking credit? Why did they need massive tunnels? To age the beer in underground tunnels? Are you kidding me? After Prohibition ended in 1933, the tunnels were useless and filled up and destroyed. Wow. This, in my opinion, is literally proving that Prohibition was an excuse for these tunnels. And now that we can drink alcohol again, we're all cool with them just destroying these tunnels from the past civilization. Over and over and over. This is the excuse. But in January of 2018, they accidentally made a mistake and discovered more tunnels during renovation. So 2 months later, they didn't have any other choice but to show them off to the public. And what do they care? Everyone is buying the narrative at this point that these massive tunnel systems are here because of the alcohol ban from back in the day. You can even see in Atlanta, Georgia, where their city is basically all above ground. And there are stores underground that used to be there. It's so weird. And Kansas City has one too. And then we were told in about 1887, a 22-foot wide, 18-foot tall, and 810-foot long tunnel system right under the people's feet in Kansas City. Why have we not gone and investigated this one? Well, it was sealed off in 1956 and basically forgot about. I wonder why it was forgot about. Well, maybe because it was sealed off. Definitely an agenda, working all over the world, working together to hide the true history. And we see it over and over again, covering so many different topics, the tunnel system being only one of them. I hope you all enjoyed this episode today. I've always been really interested in the tunnel systems and all of the underground stuff, including Denver Airport, where they supposedly built a brand new airport when they didn't even need a new airport that now has a lot of buildings that are buried and connected underground. So the past civilization showed the way, and it continues today, right in front of our faces and now right below our feet. If you all like this video and want to see more, subscribe, like, and let me know in the comments below. The more we dig, the more we find. Here we have an image of a diploma for the American Pacific Exposition and Oriental Fair for Portland, Oregon in 1905. So 1904, they have the St. Louis World's Fair. 1 year after, we get this one in Oregon. This diploma is very interesting. As we go down to the bottom, we have a photo, and we can clearly see in the background 2 airships, both looking different. They normally don't show this form of transportation in these photos. They normally blank out the sky. But as we look up all of these countries, we see the big ones, and then we see Caucasia. Have any of us heard of a country in the 1900s named Caucasia? I personally have never heard of Caucasia, which is similar to Tartaria. All of these countries that we were never told about. But this one wasn't hundreds of years ago.
Never heard of it.
This was 1905. So they are now, in my opinion, lying and telling us that Caucasia, or Caucasus, is a region that has a bunch of countries in it, including Russia, which we all know have connections to Tartaria. Let's take a look at this list again from 1905. They are already listing Russia on this map with Turkey, France, Holland, Germany, Switzerland, Italy. All of these are countries. They are not regions. I'll say it again. These are countries. Why would they then throw a region in there randomly? That doesn't make any sense. I think we are finding, in my opinion, that there is more land that we aren't being told about that was here in the 1900s. And I think Caucasia is being hidden from us right now. So we were given a photo with the airships in the background in the sky. So I went digging and found this photo from 1905, World's Fair in Oregon, showing more airships. In my opinion, and a few others, this form of travel was all over the place. It wasn't just created in the 1800s, and the Hindenburg event was used as a scare tactic to make these airships look faulty, removing this free energy form of transportation technology out of our lives. Do you really think that they put a gas in these airships that would be so incredibly flammable and fly them over massive cities? Or does it make more sense that this Hindenburg event was a planned event to get rid of this free form of travel and wipe?
Wait, creating a mass event that scares people into not wanting to do something? And it started with a fire. Got it.
From the history books. Here we have a photo of one of these airships sitting in between the two spires of the old world building. You can see that they use these spires to electrically charge these airships, and this was common knowledge. And in the very next photo, it's leaving the port. We are not given the truth about our history. This isn't something that we are ever told about in our mainstream schooling system all over the world. Do you find that odd? Let's keep digging. We see that the US Army had this technology in the 1800s, as well as the Navy. Now, this is a photo from July of 1931, and we clearly have an airship charging at the top of this building. So we have a lot going on here, and this was within the last 100 years. An airship charging at the top of this tower. Did you think they only charged at the top of buildings? Of course not. They had charging docks in the middle of the water. Here we have a photo of the US Navy airship in 1924, charging from this boat. Now let's zoom in on this charging station to get a good look at what's going on here. Now this is a technology that we were never told about. This is hidden from our timeline, a clear proof that there is much more to the story than what we've been told, especially since this was not thousands of years ago, and shows how easily history can be rewritten. This technology should be common knowledge at this point. Here we have another angle in Rhode Island of the charging taking place. And if we switch angles here, we can actually see the charging tool that was used right at the top of this tower. They're clearly about to connect to the airship. So this, in my opinion, is clearly explaining what's going on at the top of these old world buildings. They were charging stations for the airships. They have the same features, and I guarantee you that they still turn on, since this was not that long ago. And I'm gonna take this time right now to answer a lot of people's question. Will we ever find the truth? As we keep uncovering more and more documented evidence, we're gonna find that the previous civilization was not that far in the past.
Like Roots said in that song, it's right in front of you and you can't see it.
And our current structures hold so much more technology than we ever truly understood. So in my opinion, yes, we are gonna find the truth about all of this. We are uncovering the truth faster and faster. And this community gets bigger and bigger, with more and more people sharing their thoughts and knowledge. The mainstream history is becoming comedy hour at this point. So we can clearly see that these buildings all around the world may have had a second purpose, but they were without a doubt here to generate free energy, specifically for airships. And once you realize this, then we can go deeper and ask the question, was the previous civilization capable of using these buildings to power their flight that were so much more powerful, so much faster, and so much more incredible than an airship? I believe that they fully understood this technology. They were the ones that constructed it. They had this technology and were able to travel through the air so much faster than we can today while using the Earth's natural energy. These buildings are technology. They are able to extract the energy and are able to turn it into a fuel. If you're looking for a why, a motive to suppress this technology, well, it would 100% benefit a civilization, us. It's free. There is zero benefit to free transportation, free energy. Do we need to go further for the why? So when you go around your town now and see the top of these buildings, we can all understand how popular this form of transportation really was. It was everywhere. Now we have talked about Tartaria. We have shown in this episode in the beginning how there are possibly more countries and more land, such as Caucasia. So we have Tartaria, but we also have Barbaria, where you would get the term barbarians. And of course, again, have any of us heard of a place called Barbaria in history class? Maybe you have now, but in mainstream history, this is not something that is taught to us. We're not being told the truth about any of this. And we have many maps of a land called Barbaria. For a bonus today, I have a lot of things that I want to share that I've found in my research. And I don't want to just brush over them, but I do want to share them with you all. I found this photo from Portland, Maine, of the old City Hall. In their newspaper from 1888, they wrote that it was built in 1825 and was used in 1832. So this was going on like 200 years ago. You can see what they're all riding around on. They were able to build these kind of structures so fast, apparently, that after 63 years...
Yo, the rum riot of 84 demolished in 88. Interesting.
This thing was so outdated and needed to be demolished. And it's interesting because this exact story is given to us all over the USA. And in all honesty, it's all over the world. It's weird how we were told that they lived in sheds, yet could afford to knock down relatively new structures like this. Oh, and we are told that they built this thing with a population of like 8,000 people. Like I said before, anyone on a horse, a donkey, and anyone who had a wagon, a shovel or a chisel was born with incredible architecture skills in the 1800s. It's incredible stuff. And I know some of you have mentioned this topic in the comments below. Well, here is a conveniently half-destroyed photo from the 1904 World's Fair. And if we just zoom in a little, you can see what this exhibit was. And here's the description we are given. Served as a fair attraction and a working
baby
hospital.
incubators, Cabbage Patch Kids.
This is normal for a fair attraction? These fairs have a much darker purpose than what we have been told. Just read that last sentence. They were brought from hospitals to the concessions. Well, they were brought from somewhere, and this is such a weird thing. Using common sense, how many mothers would allow their kid that is born early to leave the hospital to be, in their own words, an attraction at a fair? Let's use our brains a little now. These are not coming from the hospital, in my opinion, that this was an operation to populate these cities again. And when did Ellis Island start taking immigrants? New Year's Day, 1892, perfect time to start an operation. You don't find it odd that right around the exact same time period as these World's Fairs, you have these operations to refill the USA back up with a brand new batch of people. Now let's go back to the airships. Here's a photo from 1935. After they removed the airships from our timeline, and they were using the hangar for the airplanes now. And look at the size of this hangar, just to prove how massive these airships were in comparison. The amount of people that could have been on this airship were in the thousands. Here's a sketch of the interior of an airship, and you can see they were incredible. They had bedrooms, dining areas, all of the things that you would do if you were gonna treat a society with respect. Instead of our form of travel now, where we are all just jammed in next to each other and forced to suffer for hours. So I know this isn't a real photo, but honestly, who knows at this point what the previous civilization was capable of? What kind of things were in these airships that we aren't being told about? Water parks, events? We know these airships were real. They were everywhere, and they were massive, and not a part of the narrative. They put the brakes on them really quick to trick our civilization into thinking that we're advancing into the airplane, when in reality, we had it made with the airship. Now, there are so many pictures of these vehicles all over the place, and they were definitely interesting to look at and wonder. So I want to make sure that I'm able to share these pictures here with everyone, so that you don't have to go on a scavenger hunt all over the place for them. And I want to make this point clear, if I haven't already. These airships predate the airplane, and they'll even admit it in the mainstream narrative that the airship was supposedly invented in 1852, which is a lie. It was long before this, and we know that here. And the airplane, as we've covered, was handed over to us in 1903. So 51 years later, rapid speeds, new technology just flying at us, literally. The problem with the 1852 date is that we have depictions of airships that predate the 1800s by civilizations. Knowing this information frees your mind. You are able to think for yourself. You are no longer trapped in the ridiculous mainstream society game that just goes around and around and drives people insane. You can step back and enjoy your life, knowing you are important. Your life is much more meaningful.
History
seeing a few people
consistently being covered up. Or, you know, some people say it's conspiracy. I think the only reason it's conspiracy is because they don't want you to see it. They're covering that shit up. But when the evidence is right there in front of you, how do you remain blind? I don't know if it's so much blind or brainwashed or chemicals that they've started putting in our food. You know, chemicals that we don't use or that they don't use in other countries. I'm not saying possibly. Chemtrails, you know, chemtrails in the sky dissipates for everyone to inhale, brainwashing you. Maybe, maybe not, unless you're immune to chemtrails and the brainwashing, which is if you get more education, knowledge, not so much education, because some people will tell you this is made up. It's hard to say it's made up when it's right there in front of you. But anyway, let's get back to the next video. And this one is like the one I really wanted to show, because if you remember, I have a big issue with 1800s to 1900s because I think there's a lie they're covering up. And if I really want to be legit, I'm talking 800 to 1800 as well. But the 1850s to 1900s, I have a big distrust for that time frame, whether or not it was real or not. So anyway, let's get back to the timeline of the 1800s. I hope you're ready for some more informational content in this video, so take it as you will. I know how I take it because the way I see it, it's real. And I don't know if my reality is real, but to me it is. And according to videos like this and the people that are still here, you as well have a belief for the same thing, which is good because you're open-minded. Rarity these days.
What happened in the 1800s, and why does this rock look like a person?
It melted.
Most of these incredible buildings were supposedly built in the 1800s. People didn't know how to do anything for hundreds and thousands of years until our amazing society showed up. Is that true? Or are we getting an ego boost to distract us from the truth? History tells us that we are the greatest. And we are, right? Well, that building is amazing, but we're still the best. Okay, that building is even better. What is that? Wait, they had wireless energy? What is going on? Fine, I'll admit it. The mainstream narrative is lying. What a great way to get people to believe the narrative. Tell them that they're the best. Who is going to question that? I guess some like us will, but the majority won't, for now. We look around and most of these incredible ancient buildings were taken over by banks or the USA. The USA and banks were both created, and what do you know? Right after that, we get all these brand new inventions. If we had these buildings in the 1800s, there's no doubt they had technology that is also hidden from our history. Other types of technology other than just building. If this timeline is planned, then all previous history is false or extremely altered. If this is true, and this isn't the first time the car and the light bulb were invented, where are we? And when was the first time it actually was invented? How long ago? What are the odds that the USA is formed in 1776 and 16 years later the stock market comes to be in 1792? How does that happen? And why do both of these things get all the great buildings? Have you seen photos of this building? If you've watched any of my previous videos, you will know that this building was found, claimed, and repurposed. Absolutely incredible architecture. 12 years after the stock market's formed, we have the first train. What are the odds? So these people needed to get around, right? So in 1804, we have the first train. In 1817, the first bicycle was created. So a servant to the Duke of Germany made the bike. A servant. This reminds me of the stories where the prisoners built all the Capitol buildings. What a joke. Nothing happened for hundreds and thousands of years, but in the matter of like 20 years, we got the USA, we got the stock market, the first train, and now we got a bike. And this is just crazy.
Of course, we have to wait a long time now, till 1863 for anything else to happen. What torture. 1863, soccer was created. They had no games before this. Nobody played any games. No fun, no getting around, nothing. For thousands of years. No fun. Finally, we have some fun in 1863, and we have the first phone in 1876. So you can see we're getting some fun, we're getting some toys, we're doing some technology, we're introducing it to the community once again, in my opinion. That same year, 1876, we got another game created, the Major League Baseball. So now we have 2 games. Now things are getting fun. So the mainstream narrative can't figure it out. They don't know where baseball came from. They say maybe from a game called Tutball, Stool Ball, Flanders, Rounders. They just don't know. Then in 2005, someone wrote a book called Baseball Before We Knew It. And they don't know what the heck is going on. People are starting to use trains and bikes and phones and sports, all in a matter of a few years. Go figure. Nothing happens for thousands of years, but as soon as the USA opens up, everything starts happening. What are the odds? It's starting to rain here, if you can hear it. I'm sorry. In 1878, the first light bulb. So now we've got electricity. 2 years after the phone, we are pumping this stuff out, guys. I mean, we got the phone, we got the light bulb. People are just brilliant in this time period, huh? Creating games. Oh wait, what? Only 8 years later we got the first car? This is no way. If you believe this narrative, if you believe that everything just happens at the same time and nothing happened ever before this, then I'm sorry. This is not possible. 1895, we got the first power tool, okay? No more chisels, we have tools. Just incredible.
From Austria.
What's happened in the last few years. What were people doing in the 1400s? They must have been bored with no lights, no cars, no nothing. What were they doing in 2,000 years ago? I have no idea. I mean, oh my gosh, they must have been hiding in a cave, if you believe the mainstream narrative. Well, 8 years after the first power tool, we definitely need to start flying a plane, right? So in 1903, we got the first plane. Let's just start flying these things around. The Wright brothers were so smart. Their mom must have been so proud. The first airplane flew 852 feet on its 4th and final flight, supposedly. But get this, it was damaged while landing. And minutes later, a powerful gust of wind blew it over and wrecked it. Couldn't write that any better. It had to get blown over by wind. And then, in 1920, the NFL was created. So we've got tons of games, tons of tech. We are just going. Our society is the best ever. I mean, you'd think that all of this would be created over a long period of time. It just comes right out, right after the next one, right after the next one, right after the next one, because 7 years later, in 1927, we get the first TV. People are making cars, planes, trains, TVs, power tools, electricity. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But of course, the USA, the government, and the stock market were first. They were before all of this. Right before all of it. Not way before all of it, just right before. Right before. In 1936, we have the first computer. So now we have TVs, computers. I mean, what's next? 1946, the NBA started. So basketball starts with the most ridiculous story of all time. They started the game of basketball with a peach basket and a soccer ball. You know, all of us, we all just make games on our free time with peach baskets that turn into multi-billion-dollar industries. And in 1983, the internet was created. Just incredible. This timeline is so short, yet you've got everything you need, and you had nothing before this. How do you go from nothing to everything? This is proof, in my opinion, that they had all this stuff. They know how to run a society from scratch. They implant it right into our society after a few years, and here we are today.
All right, it's been about 5 months since we discussed possibly the main point in all of this, and possibly the biggest, clearest giveaway that is given to us through the mainstream narrative. and that is that nearly every major invention, from planes to trains, cars to phones, computers and light bulbs, radios and major sports organizations, everything was given to us in the last 300 years. They went from cavemen all the way to the society that we know it now, all due to evolution? No. There's a different, much more logical explanation than to think that people were writing letters with duck feathers until us geniuses came around, and we are going to dive way deeper down this truth hole today. We are told that the USA begins in 1776. Immediately after, 16 years later, we have the stock market open up. And as we have talked about before, and this is where evolution, for whatever reason, finally starts to work for once. And the whole world supposedly becomes so intelligent and starts creating flying crafts and engines and phones, trains, TVs, and the rest of it. This is absolutely insane to believe. Then we have Australia that comes into the picture in 1901. The main issue that we have here is that we have the construction from the past civilization that is sitting here staring at us right in our faces. Buildings that we do not recreate today in 2023. Cities such as Budapest that have a coffee shop, a parliament building, and chocolate museums that look straight out of the movies. We have identified nearly 100 fire stories to this point. Or buildings that are said to be built in the 1800s that clearly are from the old world are completely destroyed due to a fire. Even though...
Let me rewind that for you, in case you didn't catch this.
And chocolate museums that look straight out of the movies. We have identified nearly 100 fire stories to this point, where buildings that are said to be built in the 1800s that clearly are from the old world are completely destroyed due to a fire, even though they're mostly made of stone, which is not flammable. Understanding this massive historical lie, understanding that there was a previous civilization right before us that is no longer here, where they went or what even took place that removed them from this place is what we want to know. They left all of their structures here for us to see. In my opinion, they left all of their technology. They were able to construct the St. Mark's Basilica in 4 years, from 828 to 832, but didn't have a light bulb? Give me a break. They built the inside with candlelight. Oh, and don't forget that it lasts forever. Unlike anything that we build today, even though this was in a time period before they even knew how to make paper. It really is incredible that once you get it, you don't go back to not getting it. You can see it all very clearly in nearly every town in the world. This past civilization had much more technology that we have not been given back yet. We have been given the car back, the train, the plane, the TV and cell phones, the light bulb and computers, internet and power tools. All major movies have been recreated. They know what we like. Refrigerators, cameras.
Remakes. I might have to go do some old movies versus the remakes now and just see what changes. Kind of wish we had a remake of Blazing Saddles so I could really compare it to when it first came out to today's DEI.
GPS, video games, all of this in the last 300 years. In my opinion, like I've said, they have had all of this technology, and this includes AI. I'm starting to find the same narrative too many times, all over the world. I am now leaning towards an AI that most likely created all of these insane, ridiculous narratives. For every one of these buildings, the repetition of the plots and the repetition of characters gives it all away. How long has AI, or more specifically this ChatGPT stuff, really been around? Do you think this is the first time? I definitely do not. We get characters from the East Coast that somehow make it over to Chicago and then over to California within a matter of a 1 to 2 year span, with no articles of them ever existing. Or they were store managers and not architects like we have proven. Or they were in Alaska at the time that they were supposed to be in Texas. If you have used ChatGPT, you'll fully understand how simple this would be to create a false narrative using AI. And if we are allowed to use ChatGPT, what kind of AI do you...
Remember when I said AI is going to be a fucking terrible idea? Been saying that for a good long while. And now I feel like I should be put in one of the old world asylums. Hopefully those don't come back.
Do you think they have? Even languages are very interesting. Were all these languages developed all over the world to keep us from being able to share valuable information with each other? to better ourselves, and to free ourselves from the insane, controlled system. In my opinion, I think that's clear and obvious at this point. And it seems like once we become bored or uninterested in the item, they release the next item of technology that the past civilization already had. This group of people have much more to release, to profit off of, and to use to control the masses and manipulate the minds. We have talked about books in the past and how it is important to have them. If this trend continues for another 100 years, where people use books less and less, at a certain point there will not be any books. If our information is wiped from the computers, what will be left? The answer,
not to mention all these books now, they're transposing, no. I can't remember the word, but they're putting them into audiobooks, right? Or they're putting them into, like, what's that shit where Kindles. They still have Kindles? Where you don't know if it's legit anymore because it can be altered. Just like anything. Like, I can play this back and take out important things and make it sound like I love the Jews. Right?
there's nothing. Nothing will be left. And this is how history can easily be rewritten, to trick the next civilization into thinking that they are the first ones, and that cavemen in the 800s built the St. Mark's Basilica in 4 years, and so much more. How have we been so naive for so long? Why are we just waking up to the nonsense as a whole? We are fully investigating the historical nonsense that we have been force-fed. Was Columbus even real?
No.
I'm leaning towards no. And the fact that we argue whether he was a good guy or a bad guy is exactly what they want us to do. Once you pick either good or bad, it is actually an acknowledgement that he was real, and you are accepting their nonsense. 1492, nobody named Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Not in the Pinta, not the Nina, or the Santa Maria. He didn't trick Indians, none of this happened. These are all mind control tactics that are implemented at a very young age. And songs work the best. In my personal opinion, the fact that everything has been given back to us in the last 300 years systematically proves that there is a group of individuals that are controlling this and giving misinformation about the historical narrative. This is not by accident. It's not mathematically possible for there to be no electricity for thousands of years. And out of nowhere, we have all of this technology. And the same goes for the possibility that every house in your neighborhood has been burned to the ground. That's impossible. Yet nearly every old world building.
Columbus, why were there people settled here? Was it early 1300s when the Vikings came over?
Holds a fire story in its narrative. And every major city has had a great fire. And are these fires great? Not for us, but I think for them. To destroy all of the past civilizations.
I guess think about it. Whether or not the Library of Alexandria existed, which now we know it most likely did, because it held knowledge, and half of it burned down. Oh, was there more to that?
Happening within the last 200 to 300 years. But why lie about the history? Well, why not? You get to hold on to all the power over all the people. You've done it all before. You know how the system works. You've got all the kinks out in the past civilization. Now you get to control the banking system, all technology, the governments, what the people watch, what the people listen to. You control what is acceptable in society. You control what is not acceptable in society. And what is thought of as crazy. Why wouldn't they reset the system and control it all for their advantage? Releasing old world tech to their advantage. When there was already free energy. Some people have asked, why would they lie about all of this? When all people should be asking, why wouldn't they lie about this? Do you think that this place that we live is really designed so that we couldn't supply ourselves with food, with energy, with water? We are manipulated and in a trance. Do even 1% of people supply themselves with food? Why are we told that the sun, the one thing that creates all life, the one thing that grows the healthiest things in the world to eat and gives vitamins to you, is dangerous and should be avoided? Where did our common sense go? I think now is the time that we find it.
Whoa. You guys remember during the COVID when they're like, stay at home, stay indoors? And the people of us that were like, I don't know, we just went outside and enjoyed the sunlight. What if that opened up? Well, I don't know if every one of you was out there enjoying the sunlight, but I know I was. But I was already awakened to all this bullshit. And it seems like a lot more people have been. At least in the past couple years.
Bring it back and take control of our lives.
Analytics show it.
I have said this many times. This is not just about buildings. This is not just about history. This is much deeper and much more important. This is my opinion, of course, but I think this is going to be a good episode to come back to for most people that would like to introduce someone new to this topic of the old world. Or a simple reminder of what we have been told is the truth versus what is really going on in front of our faces. Now, I have been seeing a few people across multiple platforms that haven't really looked into this topic that are saying that just because we have done this before and can see the buildings here in front of us, this automatically means that we are able to construct these buildings today if we wanted to, even though we never do and never will. We have all the tools and make mistakes all the time.
Sorry, Jeff, I just read your comment. That's what they've been saying. If you paid attention, were you there when they were saying pretty much all tunnels were based off of just bootleggers?
Our buildings and bridges fall apart after 100 years, but the ones from the 1800s and much longer before that were built with perfection and not one flaw, thrown together in less than a year, without blinking an eye. It was simple, perfect stonework, never a mistake. Remember, in 2020...
The only issue with this is people don't. A lot of people don't, because it's easier to believe what's in front of you. What's fleeced, what's told to you instead of opening your eyes. It's so easy to do that. Just believe what you're being told. I mean, it is what it is. The only thing we can do is we can try to, what's the word? Not motivate, guide people to think in a different direction. Open your eyes, listen to what people have to say. Because if you ask me about, some of this stuff, actually, no, I believed in this shit exactly. What can I say that? Case in point. First time I deployed, I was deploying out of anger. I was deploying because American lives were taken. Right? The longer and longer I was going to these deployments, I finally slowly realized we're not fighting for anybody's freedom, because that's bullshit. We were fighting to either cover something up or to enrich the rich, if that makes sense. And then I started seeing everything, because according to my parents, I've never trusted the government since I was a kid, which is kind of weird, because I worked for them for 20 years.
23, we use actual construction companies. We have the tools. Not slaves, not prisoners, not horses and wagons. We are supposed to be so much better than the people of the 1800s. This is what they tell us. This is the mainstream narrative. Evolution, of course. But we have proven time and time again that the people from the 1800s built Capitol buildings over and over and over in less than a year. Basilicas, cathedrals, all over the world. They get burned to the ground by a fire. And then a few short months later, the old one is all cleaned up and a new one is there forever. They could knock out entire towns in a few months, entire world's fairs. They supposedly were able to build these buildings so fast, so well, with untrained workers.
Correct.
People that have never constructed anything before. Prisoners. People that went to jail for any reason at all. They could all build cathedrals in every country, in every town, in every century, except for this one that we're in today. They built so many of them and so fast that they could just afford to knock them all down when they were done. This is what we're told, of course. In my opinion, none of this happened. In my opinion, these buildings are from the previous civilization.
We did a lot of bombing. Israel's doing a lot of bombing right now. Huh.
civilization. And our entire history timeline is a complete fabrication. And this is proven time and time again. And the fire story gives it all away, every time. Let's expose the lies even further. Here we are in Texas, more specifically, 414 St. Joseph Street, Gonzales, Texas. And why are we here? Well, they have the Gonzales County Courthouse. And in my opinion, the narrative is lying. Are we all ready? Here we go. The contract was awarded to Furman Morin on June 26, 1894. But wait, there's something weird going on here. We're told that this wasn't the first courthouse.
Okay,
on
this is the
site.
video I wanted to
This
show
is
you.
the second building to serve as the county courthouse. Well, what do you mean this wasn't the first one? What happened to the first one? The first Gonzales County Courthouse burned down on December 3rd, 1893. Do you notice how fast they tried to throw that in there? It was like they thought we wouldn't notice or something. Of course we will. This is what we do. Look at how they worded it, too. They didn't even say the first building or the first courthouse. They just quickly say, the first burned on December 3rd, 1893. And they just want to move on like nothing happened. So we get the nod. Another fire story. Very interesting. And also the clear giveaway that this is a building from the past civilization. In my opinion, and a reminder that there was never a fire here on this site. This is simply a nod to their group that this building is from the old world. Now, let's continue shredding this nonsense apart. We are told that the second county courthouse was completed on April of 1896. The contract was awarded in June of 1894. They get their superintendent for the construction in 1895. And then in April of 1896, the building is done.
Oh.
And this all happens in basically 2 years after the first one burned down.
All right.
And it's weird because it takes almost as much time to find the superintendent as it does to actually build the entire building. And it lasts forever. So let's get this straight. They are telling us that December 1893, the first one is in flames, and we have no idea who built that one or anything about it. And don't ask any questions about that one. And then 6 months later, it's gone and all cleaned up by June of 1894. And the contract is ready to roll. And from June 1894, we wait until some point in time in 1895, so at least 6 months, but could have been 18 months. Since they don't share the information, we have to speculate. So let's meet in the middle at 12 months to find a construction guy. And then he knocks this thing out somehow by April of 1896. Who believes that he did this in less than a year? How many people worked for him? It's just weird that they tell us that he was just an owner of a quarry that had limestone in it. Now all of a sudden, he is a construction superintendent guy that builds massive courthouses in a year. Wow, the 1800s were incredible. You could truly be anything you want back then. Amazing. And a total joke of a story. This is absolute insanity that this kind of stuff is what we are supposed to believe actually happened. We all understand that in order to build a massive courthouse, you would need to get all the materials there. We would need to have a proper amount of construction workers that are properly trained. This quarry owner can't just go build it himself. We would need the proper equipment. Incredible architecture. The planning had to be perfect. Using the specs that they give us on this courthouse, I asked ChatGPT a question, and the answer was eye-opening. I asked hypothetically, how long would it take to build a courthouse in 1895? And how many men would you need? I asked if it could give me a breakdown of how much material would be needed, and also include other details that are important in constructing a courthouse that covers 2.7 acres.
Oh, shit. Now I say like the red brick and the white limestone. No shit. Limestone. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to talk and my tongue's in the way. Limestone was really important back then. Remember that Indian tunnel? The Indian tunnel. The place in Kansas that holds all those Indian records. I'm sorry, indigenous people records. Native Americans. Indians.
Explain that it is a building in a Romanesque revival style with eclectic details, meaning it covers other types of architecture designs, and that it will be built with red brick and white limestone trim. Now, these are the specs that we are given from the mainstream narrative. This is what they tell us. They tell us this information because they have to. The thing is literally sitting here looking right at us, for anyone that wants to go look at it. You can walk right up to it and see it, or you can see a picture of it as we are right now. So let's see what this AI tells us. We are told that constructing a courthouse in 1895 in the specs that they stated would have been a significant undertaking. And here is the breakdown. Just the design and planning would have taken pretty much a year. Just because it's 1895, you still need permits and approvals. This happened in 1895. This isn't cavemen days, where you just get to build massive buildings and not tell anyone about it. So the fact that they're ignoring this part of the story over and over is crazy. This would have taken another couple months. So then we move on to the materials. We are told that the amount of red brick needed would depend on the design and size of the courthouse. Courthouses that cover 2.7 acres could use hundreds of thousands to millions of bricks.
Right.
This is an unbelievable amount of material just for bricks alone. The process in getting these materials to the site is not easy. So then the white limestone trim. 100,000 cubic feet of limestone. The wood for interior elements, including
tunnels. Where do you think they got some of the material to build these buildings? You know, they have these big tunnels. Where did the shit go?
Flooring, stairs, and doors. A substantial amount of wood would be required. Then we will need steel and glass, and not just any glass. They have to be perfect for windows in the Romanesque Revival style. Now, of course, the best part, in my opinion, because they don't even mention any people that helped this quarry owner guy. The labor, the number of workers needed would vary. But constructing such a massive courthouse might require hundreds of laborers. Hundreds? And not a mention of one in this story? And this isn't even to build it in a year. This is just saying to build it in a respectable timeline. So to build it in a year, there had to be way more than hundreds of workers, like we're told. Amazing. Okay, you would need bricklayers, carpenters, masons. Oh, did I say that? Steelworkers.
Yeah,
and
you did.
general laborers. When we are told that slaves and prisoners built these places in a year, just remember this and ask yourself if you think this is true or not. Now we have the construction time. Given the scale and complexity, construction could take several years, perhaps 3 to 5 years. The Romanesque Revival style, with its ornate details, would require careful craftsmanship, which takes time. So these workers had to have been trained and been good at it, especially finishing it in a year. This is insane. How were these workers not world-renowned? Wouldn't there be statues of them? They probably could have made the statues themselves in their backyards in a couple of days, since they were so good at it. And now, of course, we have the ridiculous part of the transportation. Transporting materials to the construction site. And before we get into this, I want to mention this, that they don't mention this in the story. And I think they don't on purpose, because it is so insane. Here we go. Transporting materials to the construction site would require horses, wagons, and likely a nearby source of limestone. Okay, so the horses and wagons moved the 100,000 cubic feet of limestone from the quarry. What a joke. Now they will need tools, of course. You can't do this without tools. So here's the tools and equipment section. Tools of the time would include hammers, chisels, saws, cranes, and various other hand tools. Just hammering and chiseling away in 1895 to 1896 with their horses and wagons. The fact that they tell us these buildings go up all over the world in a year is such a lie, in my opinion. You'd need a source of water for mixing mortar, and for the workers. If it's a large project, which this one definitely is, you might even need on-site housing for the workers, which they don't have on-site housing for the workers. Have you ever seen a narrative say this? No. They ignore the actual...
When you think about the Great Pyramids, they had on-site housing. They sure did.
Logistics in every narrative. You need people to build these places, and people need things, such as housing, food, water. This is common sense, yet never mentioned. Stone carvers and artisans would be required for this work. What was their names? Did the quarry owner do that himself? No. Which company had pro stone carvers and artisans? And of course, supervision. You'd need a skilled supervisor and project managers to ensure the work proceeds smoothly and to quality standards. And this is literally the only part that we are given. The only part we are given is the person that should be watching over all of the things that actually have to happen. I'm going to put this in sports terms. They're basically telling us the name of the coach for the Patriots, and then forgetting to tell us all about Tom Brady, or the coach's name of the Lakers and the Bulls, and not saying anything about Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, or Dennis Rodman. All we get is Phil Jackson and Frank Vogel. This is insane. This is not working anymore. So I asked it to be more specific with the timeline. I said, so in all, how long would this all take? It responded with this. Given the complexity and scale of constructing a courthouse, covering 2.7 acres in the Romanesque Revival style, with red brick and white limestone trim, in 1895, the entire process could take 1 year to just design and plan it. Another several months to permitting and approvals, several more months to a year for the materials, and 3 to 5 years to build the building. So in total, it mathematically and logistically should take anywhere from 4.5 years to 7.5 years. This is unbelievable. Considering so many times we are told that a building goes down in a fire and then another one is built in a few months. This kind of brushing it off with a few months kind of thing isn't working anymore. And I don't want to end the episode yet. I want to go even deeper and even more specific. So I asked, how many horses would they need for this project? And here we go. The horses would be needed for 6 major things in this project in 1895. Transporting, milling and lifting, general labor, site grading and excavation, water and power, cranes and heavy lifting, and getting the cranes there to the site, of course. This would take 20 to 30 horses to finish the project in 4.5 to 7.5 years, not 1 year. So we all understand. They would need way more than 30 horses, and we all understand that horses need water. Remember, this is for 30 horses for possibly 7.5 years. I want to make that point extremely clear. This is not the 1 year timeline that we're told. Now here we go. Let's absolutely destroy the narrative and end it forever. That any building anywhere in the world, like this one, could not be simply built in a year and just brushed off with zero explanation. How much water would the horses actually need? This is a key point that cannot be ignored, like it is in the mainstream narrative. A typical horse would drink anywhere from 5 to 15 gallons of water per day for a project like this. This is to properly keep the horses hydrated, or they will die, especially in Texas, where it's extremely hot in the summer months. For only 30 horses, you would need 300 gallons of water per day. This is only 10 horses over 7.5 years. Where is all this water coming from? Why is this massive point ignored? The point alone proves that this project did not happen in a year. This is such a horrible slip up for the narrative. And it is the most important part of the logistic project that needs to be taken care of. Without the water supply for the main transportation for the project, none of this happens anywhere in the world in the 1800s. From this point on, a narrative that tells us that they built a building in a year in the 1800s without explaining the massive supply of water for the horses should be looked at as a lie. Incredible. This is a major failure by the narrator, a massive flaw that now opens the floodgates. This narrative is not possible. Did they think that we would never question this? And now we know that this type of construction is not even close to possible. We are waking up to the nonsense. We are educating each other, building a group of people that are not just accepting lies and actually questioning. We are looking into things, and the more we look, the easier it gets. The more answers we find, and the more truth comes through. And the more that we know, the harder and harder it is to lie to us. Once you know the truth, like I always say, you don't go back to not knowing. You are now awake, and you will take this information with you and apply it to the next story, where they will tell you that...
Well, oh, there's more, my bad.
A building was built in a year by a quarry owner that never built anything before and never again in his entire life. And we have a bonus today as a thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. But before we do this, I'm gonna make this extremely clear. I do not have a problem with any group, race, religion, or any of that. These narratives cover all races, religions, and agendas. So now that we're clear on that, we have the Yeshiva University High School. This is a modern Orthodox Jewish day school located on 2540 Amsterdam Avenue, New York, New York.
Oh, I want y'all to hear that again, in case you missed it.
We have the Yeshiva University High School. This is a modern Orthodox Jewish day school located on 2540 Amsterdam Avenue, New York, New York. It only has 300 students aged 14
And
to
they're all
18.
white.
Only boys are allowed in this school. For anyone that has not seen episode 35, you may want to check that one out after this.
Yes.
So you fully understand the legal definition of the word founded. Let's pretend that we constructed an incredible building that looks just like this one. Would we say that we found it, or would we say that we built it?
Oh, no.
Honestly, it's as simple as that. We do not say that we founded our houses. This is ridiculous and incredible that the word founded has been thought of as built for so long.
Holy
the
shit.
founding fathers, they found a lot of stuff that they didn't build. Telling you is a rule for some reason. Being able to tell you something and you not understand what you're saying is still you accepting that you're being told something. This is a classic spell that is cast. It is a deception tactic. The word spelling is literally spell casting. Founded is not constructed or built. All right, let's get back to this school. What do we see here in the alumni section? We haven't found more people that found a bunch of stuff, have we? Actually, we found 6 people that seem to be good at finding things, all having something to do with this building that was found. Now, the individual who found this building is surely a great guy who wouldn't steal anything or say that a building that he finds is his, or would he? The TA, as it originally was called, was founded in 1916 by Rabbi Dr. Bernard Revel. Bernard Revel? Who is this guy? Oh, he was a great guy that was only arrested and imprisoned in Russia and then immigrated over to the United States to find this building. While in America, he struggled, though. Oh, wait, no. He married right into a rich family in 1909. All right, so enough about this guy. I think we get the point. And we have this section of the story, of course.
Uh-oh.
Interesting, okay. February 9th of this current year, 2023. Okay, right, okay. Giving 1.5 million to this school, all right. And we all know about renovations. How these buildings don't need to be renovated. This is normally a way to destroy the old world. But let's check this auditorium out. Interesting. What do you think? Does this need renovation? Looks pretty incredible to me. The project is going to include the restoration of stained glass windows and ceiling. What is wrong with the windows and the ceiling? We have eyes to see. Do we need someone else to tell us that the ceiling and the glass look awesome and should be left alone? And what is this? Look at that architecture. The stonework on this place is so detailed and precise. Whoever did this was unbelievable at their job. How is this individual, or group, or construction team? How are they unknown to us? And it was supposedly built within the last 100 years. So we should definitely know who did this. That fact alone should get alarms ringing. If they could really build this place, you would have to ask yourself, why would they write the name of the whole building so pathetic? That alone should be a major red flag. For anyone that is on the fence, this is crazy. Look at how terrible that is. It is totally put on the building by our civilization, not the ones that built the building. And they do it again here. This is laughable stuff. It looks like they just put a sticker on the stone and called it a day. So here's the outside where the stained glass is going to be destroyed and redone by our advanced civilization. It is clear that these colors and this pattern is meaningful, and we simply do not understand it. It's not damaged, it's not old, it doesn't need our help. So here's the building that we are talking about. This is a photo from 1928, and I'm guessing 1928, even though it only says 28. And look at these windows, clearly being covered up by the sidewalk, more and more as we go from left to right. Very interesting. We have shown this kind of window covering before, and it shows that this building is definitely much bigger than we can see with our eyes. And who really knows what the date of this place is? That's someone's handwriting on the picture. I could have easily wrote that for all we know. I didn't, but my point is that it's just crazy the things that we just blindly accept, just because we are told that it's true by someone or a group that has awarded themselves the leader. This picture could be from the past civilization for all we know, and our finders found their camera. Now here on the Yeshiva University website, under this founder Bernard guy's bio, they tell us that in 1928, they were supposedly granted permission to build this building that we are looking at. 1928, remember, the institution's charter was amended to authorize the granting of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science degrees. Now, because they are allowed to give out degrees, they were now going to construct their main building. That same year, in 1928, like we talked about, the building was done, as shown in the picture from November 26, 1928. So we are now being told that this building was constructed in less than 11 months. Anyone else see these pictures? A year? 1 year to build all of this. There are massive alarms going off in this narrative. Look at the stonework alone. Less than a year? From start to finish. Which construction company was used? How many men? Where did they get the materials from? Which architect did they use? We have proven through AI, ChatGPT, that this is not possible to construct in a year. Not even close. There are so many major factors that are just brushed under the rug here in this crazy story that would need to be explained, that at this point, in my opinion, it's honestly impossible for it to be true.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thought-provoking information there, right there. I don't know how some people, well, I do know how some people ignore this. Probably the same people that think I'm crazy for fucking believing this is true, which I don't know how you couldn't think of it as being true. Just like, I don't know, modern day religion is modern day slavery. The Jews aren't taking over the world. Yeah, wherever you guys would have seen that high school for boys. Good morning, Becky. Been a minute. And you just came when it was over. But the fact that, like, they're trying to tell you the shit was made, or founded in a year after getting funding. But even their own ChatGPT government propaganda is proving them wrong. It's whatever, man. I like the architecture, and there must be something to it, because that's when it comes to like going out and in big cities, foreign countries. I was always drawn to a certain type of architecture. Now I know why. And when you think about the stories they tell you, you see these structures, and you're like, "There's no way that's possible. No fucking way." Some of these were fucking, built the year 1800 or even older, with no tools. No power tools that would require, that kind of power tools. Great Pyramids took over, 40 years to build? Maybe it was more. Could there be something more? Yes, I think there's something more. And I think these previous civilizations built them for a reason. And then when you look at the free energy things I love to talk about, and you think about the Great Pyramids, who could have been a conductor because they removed the gold caps. And you look at the buildings with these bronze domes. Most likely there's some mercury in there as well, and copper, to help with the facilitating of the free energy. I don't know. But that's great, because I'm here to make you think, because I'm not telling you how to think, right? I'm just telling you to think, because I'm not the government. Give you a different I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Hope you have a good rest of the day, and I hope you learned something. If you did, that's awesome.